halt attacks on Ukrainian energy infrastructure for 30 days in what the Kremlin says was a frank discussion. The US president is preparing to make good on an election promise to declassify documents relating to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. While touring the Kennedy Center in Washington almost 24 hours ago, Donald Trump announced he'll release 80,000 pages of unredacted files today. Mental health advocates are calling for a major funding boost from whoever wins the federal election. Groups including Headspace, Mission Australia and the Black Dog Institute want the next government to introduce free mental health care for young Australians. They're also demanding better access to specialised care for those who need it. Mental health expert Professor Patrick McGorry says the current system needs an overhaul.
We have got the basics of a youth mental health system in Australia, but it's been allowed to just stagnate in the face of the crisis, so we want to see that rebuilt.
A deadly kind of drug is now being found in Aussie wastewater. More from Gabrielle Hudson.
Nitazene, a so-called zombie drug, has been a problem in America for a decade, but now the synthetic opioid is turning up at test sites in Australia at higher levels than in the US. News Corp says Nitazene was first picked up during pill testing in Brisbane in November under a scheme that's now been axed. The University of Queensland has tested 700 samples of wastewater at 68 sites in 22 countries, finding the drug just here and in the States. The locations can't be revealed, and the researcher says it's unclear if the results were because of drug consumption or disposal.
Police are investigating after a distinctive and large art installation was stolen from Prospect. Sometime over the last month, the fence on Devonport Terrace was cut and the art, in the shape of a butterfly, was stolen. They're appealing for information to locate it. Turning to FIVEAA Sport now.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now, Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Maddie. Port Adelaide's players will train again this morning as they prepare for Saturday's must-win clash against Richmond at home. The Power are almost certain to regain defender Asava Ratagalia, who got through a Sandful trial match last week. North Melbourne is unlikely to appeal after Jackson Archer's 3-match ban for rough conduct over a collision which concussed Luke Cleary was upheld at the tribunal. Rouge General Manager of Football Todd Viney doesn't want Archer to change how he attacks the footy.
Footy's a fast-moving game. Lots of stuff happens in a real split second. We're disappointed in the result, but we love the way Arch plays, and we encourage him to keep playing the same way.
Hawthorn has also been unsuccessful at the tribunal, with Jack Scrimshaw's 3-game ban upheld, while Richmond's appeal against a 1-game ban handed to Tom Lynch also failed. And Melbourne has ruled out Stephen May for Sunday's clash with North Melbourne as he continues his recovery from a fractured larynx. To cricket, and South Australia's Sheffield Shield match against Queensland has finished in a draw, and the two sides will do it all again next week after other results meant Queensland finished in second spot on the Shield table. The Shield final will be played at Karen Rolton Oval from Wednesday next week. And the NBL Grand Final series will continue tonight with Melbourne United hosting the Illawarra Hawks. Melbourne can claim the championship as they lead the best-of-5 series 2-1. And that's the FIVEAA Sport.
FIVEAA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny 33 today, a shower or two tomorrow 29, cloud clearing Friday 28, and a sunny weekend, temps around 30. Right now it's 16. FIVEAA, always Adelaide.
Right Price, Adelaide's best in heating and cooling, has risen to new heights. Literally, Right Price are now your roofing people too. Same exceptional service, value and quality. From total roof replacement, including tiled roof installation, to tile roof repairs, cleaning and painting. And for peace of mind, a rock-solid quote. So the only surprise you'll get is how magnificent your roof and home looks. Do it right. Visit rightpriceroofing.com.au.
You can get your roof right at Right Price.
G'day, Alan Gray here. Talking mechanic to mechanic, one of the toughest parts of our job would have to be tracking down the most reliable four-wheel drive parts. At Terrain Tamer, we have Australia's largest range of four-wheel drive parts, all designed, engineered and tested to outperform the original. Hey, righto guys. Talk to one of Terrain Tamer's army of trained parts interpreters who all speak fluent four-wheel drive, or jump online and have over 60,000 parts at your fingertips, delivered anywhere in Australia. Go to terraintamer.com.
Build a roof over your decking, a roof over your car. Our Alpha Industries are the best by far. A roof over your barbie, a roof over your beers. Alpha Industries last for donkey's years. A roof over your swimming pool, a roof over your boat. Alpha Industries, ask us for a quote. Build a roof over your grandma, or anything you please. Verandas, sheds and carports, Alpha Industries.
Are you in the market for a new MG? We'll have a chat with Ben at Adelaide Hills MG in Bridgewater first, because Ben and his team, they won't be beaten on price and service. Let Ben walk you through the MG range. Stylish, reliable and packed with modern tech.
Great cars with advanced safety, smart features and unbeatable value. MG delivers a smooth, enjoyable ride every time, and Adelaide Hills MG will make it easy to buy with great finance deals and, importantly, cars in stock and ready to go.
Remember, don't sign anything until you...
Adelaide wakes up with FIVEAA, David Penberthy and Will Goodings, Tom Wren for sport, Jade Robran on the scene as it happens, Graham Goodings and Jess Adamson with the news that matters to Adelaide. Breakfast with David and Will, bringing together the names you trust with everything you need to know to start your day. Always live, always local and only on FIVEAA. Always Adelaide.
8 minutes after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on FIVEAA Breakfast. Looking forward to your company right through until 9 o'clock this morning. And what a morning we've got ahead for you. Sean Fuster's going to join us. We'll go around the courts with Sean. David Koch will be on the show. Probably doesn't want to be on the show, but the great thing about Koch is he always comes on the show. So we'll talk to him about football and some of the criticism that's cropped up following that shocking round one loss to Collingwood on the weekend. Also today, Police Commissioner Grant Stevens will join us live in the studio. Lots to talk to him about. And we're going to have a closer look at what we might find when Donald Trump opens up the 80,000 JFK files. He says unredacted, and we're expecting that to happen sometime in the next few hours. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. That is going to be absolutely fascinating. It's probably the most enduring mystery in the Western world, isn't it, of the modern era? What are the great unresolved questions?
Well, it depends who you ask. Because for a lot of people, it's the moon landing.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Who built the pyramids?
There's
There's
been a proliferation
Loch Ness.
There's been a proliferation in unresolved questions since the internet
There
really
has
took
been.
off.
Yep.
Yeah, moon landing, who's really behind 9/11, etc. Yeah, but I'm talking about real ones.
What makes them real?
Oh, you're getting a bit Bertrand Russell at 6:06, Will. Oh, well, I think when the evidence is so hotly contested in a mainstream sense,
you think
by
this
people
reaches a higher threshold?
Crackpots have just set up their shingle online to write stuff that's patently ridiculous.
Because I think a lot of the original JFK stuff, people would have been written off as being crackpots.
Yeah, that's probably true. Actually, that is probably true.
But the reason it's endured over so many years, and considering it's a US, I mean, it's one of the most popular and well-known political figures ever, but it's a US story, I think is because you go down one of the rabbit holes about who might be responsible, be it the mafia, be it some foreign...
The Soviets.
That's right, foreign entity, some South American government, whatever it might well have been, and it's fruitful, which is, I guess, why they have 80,000 pages worth of file on it. Like, you don't need that many if it's just a coroner's report that said it was a single bullet.
So when you say redacted, none of it's going to be blacked out?
That's what he said. He says unredacted.
What is Trump's interest in it? Why would Trump be so keen to do this?
Well,
maybe there's page after page showing that JFK was a shocking philanderer and it's going to reflect poorly on the Democrats.
Quite possibly. I think it's all part of his, I'm an outsider, I'm not part of, the Washington clique protecting themselves. I'm going to come in and change things. I think it feeds into his whole MO of transparency and no spin, and I say what I mean. And
yeah,
I mean, what would be the good reason for it not to be released?
Well, that's true. After so long.
I actually suspect it'll be totally underwhelming.
Yeah, I got that feeling too.
My best bet would be, just like everyone else, the US government investigated all these lines of inquiry, couldn't firm up any of them to make a case.
So what is the official version of events? It is that
the lone gunman.
The lone gunman that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Mm-hmm.
That there was no grand conspiracy. There was no second shooter.
There was one bullet.
One bullet. Yeah, no second bullet. No second shooter on the grassy knoll.
Yep.
It's amazing. I've mentioned before. I went there with my dad, and they're very open about things. The Americans, like with their history, like the fact that you can actually go and stand there on the roadside on Dealey Plaza. It actually looks a bit like Victoria Square, the shape of it, because it's on the sort of edge of downtown Dallas, Dealey Plaza. When you're driving into town from, I can't quite get my northeast southwest. Hang on, I think I can. It's on the eastern side of Dallas from memory. And so you come in through this sort of slipway that turns into two sort of curving streets that wrap around the square. So imagine you're driving, heading north along King William Street, coming into Victoria Square.
Yep.
And then you've got the two roads that sort of wrap around the square. So poor old JFK and Jackie were heading towards Dealey Plaza, and they were on the left-hand side of the plaza, coming towards the book depository, where Lee Harvey Oswald was waiting on the 6th floor, in this little hidey hole with a small window, looking down, just waiting for the motorcade to arrive. But when you go to the museum is in the book depository. So you go up to the 6th floor, and part of the tour is the little gunman's nest that Oswald had, and you can go into it. So you look down on Dealey Plaza through the window.
It's eerie, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. But the bit that is really creepy is when you're down on the ground, when you're down on the road, and I got a photo of my dad standing next to it. There's just this white cross that they've painted on the ground, which is the exact spot where Kennedy was hit. And by the first bullet, and then there's another cross showing the second bullet that hit him in the head. And this is just totally, this is where it all happened, and it's quite bloodthirsty. The thing that makes it really weird too is there's all these tourist shops around there, because the Texans, when Americans love their guns, but Texans really love their guns. You go over the road and there's all these tourist shops selling all these tribute posters to JFK right next to belt buckles, shot glasses, T-shirts saying the right to bear arms, you can pry my gun from my cold dying hands, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, how goes America? It's pretty wild.
Our Aberdeen correspondent Dave Lloyd says, do the Epstein files, Donald. That one's proving a little bit more problematic to release.
Yeah.
It's funny, there was a lot promised about that one getting released, and seems to have suddenly got complicated.
Well, there might be all sorts of names in there.
Well, if it was one of the things he promised he was going to release. Everyone's still waiting.
Someone should ask a question, if indeed there are any questions left at White House press conferences to ask questions like that.
Well, they did that weird release of supposed files to a whole bunch of influencers and online bloggers and so forth. And they all walked outside the White House with their folders, and they were waving them in the air, and then none of it was new. There was not a single shred of new information in the whole thing. So it's a good text, Dave. It's a very peculiar situation, that one.
Guy in Highgate makes a good point, and yet again, after so many years, this was obviously an issue that only days ago we were still talking about, and we even had a quite impassioned discussion on air about the wisdom of continuing with some of these searches. But Guy says, morning lads, ask South Aussies over the age of 50 what the great unresolved question at a local level is, what actually happened to the Beaumont children. I can't imagine a more horrific level of torment for their late parents. It is interesting, isn't it? That's probably the defining, well, it's definitely the defining South Australian mystery.
I think the Somerton man has been up there for a long time.
Yeah.
Purely, the Beaumont is an awful mystery. The Somerton man is a more fun one.
Yeah, yeah.
But was he a spy?
Well, not for him.
Not for him, no. But you know what I mean. It had more intrigue. I don't think anyone thought anything beyond this was an awful criminal act, the Beaumont one.
What was the wording, that Persian word on his...
In the Rubaiyat.
Yeah, Taman Shud or something?
Taman Shud, yeah.
Taman Shud? The line from a poem?
That's right. It was just a little ripped up pipe. And
in his jacket.
And all the things in the jacket or clothing, the tags had all been taken out, which is an old Cold War spy thing to do.
Yeah.
To eliminate a trace. That's a good local South Australian mystery. Any other favourite mysteries you've got, folks? Let us know. 8223 or text us on the Police Home Care text line.
I was reading this, remembering back to that Texan trip, another great gun-related sign. There's this unbelievably good Texan barbecue restaurant that Dad and I went to called the Lockhart Smokehouse that does that beautifully, just drippingly tender brisket that's been cooked for 18 hours and amazing like link sausage with jalapeno and cheddar, like, you know, smoked turkeys, like nice. Just the best food, all served with white bread and stuff, chili sauce, all the sides that the Americans make. And it was like this great family restaurant, but in the queue you were standing there and there was this huge sign on the wall that said trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot again.
That's Texas.
Great.
Corey says, can Donald Trump open the Crow's camp files as well? That's a bigger mystery than Kennedy. Thank you, Corey.
We're interrupting your show. Sorry. Because Binge Basic is now just $4.99 a month for 12 months. That's a bajillion hours of entertainment for less than $5 a month. Offer ends March 31st, so head to binge.com.au/4. New and returning customers only.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
If the bank's declined your business loan, no worries. Universal Finance make business loans easy. No financials required. Unsecured business loans and business overdrafts. Universal Finance can help your business now. For lightning fast settlement, sometimes in just a matter of hours. See Universal Finance in Kent Town today. Or search Universal Finance right now. This is general advice only, and you should consider the terms and conditions before determining whether this advice is suitable for your situation.
Discover outdoor living dreams you can touch at Stratco. Feel that fence, peruse that patio, and shut that shed. Come in, see our displays, and get expert advice on your next outdoor home improvement project. And for a limited time, get 20% off Stratco garages. Terms and conditions apply. So get into your local Stratco now and head into the new Stratco Richmond showroom at 249 Richmond Road, Richmond. However you bring the dream, Stratco will bring the how-to.
Above the vibrancy of Kent Town, across the parklands to the shimmering city skyline, your view stretches endlessly, never to be built out, never to be lost. This is Parkline by Chase Crown, living above and beyond.
This incredible address offers the best of the East End, just moments away, so close to the city, while the charm of the eastern suburbs surrounds you. This isn't just a home, it's lifestyle redefined, crafted by an award-winning team renowned for impeccable quality, including the acclaimed 8 South Esplanade project.
Every detail is considered, every finish is refined, delivering a sky home that exceeds all expectations. Parkline by Chase Crown is a statement of living above and beyond.
Opportunities like this are rare, so don't miss yours. Discover more at parklinekenttown.com.
Hey guys, did you know that on every Austrac campus camper trailer, your barbecue bench doubles as a windbreak? And with 2 gas bayonets at the rear, we've got you covered for any kitchen cook-up.
Austrac Campus.
OTR coffee combos are now in store, making your life easy at $6 for a quality barista-made regular coffee and a delicious buttery croissant, just how you like it. Only at OTR. Making life easy. T's and C's apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
21 after 6. Let's do a couple of police home care texts on 044808 1395.
A lot of people talking in about mysteries, and this one certainly speaks to me as a southerner. Jared says, morning lads, growing up in the south of Adelaide and a similar age, the disappearance of Rihanna Barreau would have to be up there. It caused a lot of angst for young children in the south. Happy hump day. Thank you for that, Jared. Brent the Milky says, morning, Will and Dave. I'd love to know if a UFO really crashed at Roswell and also what's in Area 51.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one. Wonder if any of our listeners have been to Area 51.
Yeah, how close can you get?
Oh, it's a huge tourist thing.
Well, yeah, but it's a military base there.
You can't get right in.
Yeah, that's the bit that's interesting.
But there's like there's a souvenir store you can buy, like, alien headgear and all sorts of crazy stuff. And Buffalo Bill says, the family murders, why was only one person ever charged?
Yeah, a lot of people still talk about that. All right, let's jump into the news headlines on this Wednesday morning. We're going to speak with the Premier after 7 o'clock this morning, but the wireless Steelworks is well and truly in the spotlight again. Only months after firing up, the blast furnace will be shut down today for at least 2 days while maintenance is carried out. The administrators are pushing ahead with the shutdown on the advice of BlueScope, who were brought in to review operations. Cordamentha took over the Steelworks just last month. The Prime Minister is expressing his concern over the collapse of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Gaza. Israel has launched a barrage of airstrikes on the Palestinian enclave, killing more than 400 people. Anthony Albanese hopeful peace talks can get back on track. Former Liberal politician Christopher Pyne is recovering in hospital after having had significant heart surgery. It follows a scare 2 weeks ago when he thought he had heartburn. He took himself to the doctor. Pyne was then booked in for a bypass surgery, which he's just undergone. He's released a statement and says that he's doing well. So to our former Two Tribes colleague, we wish him all the best.
He's not an old man, Chris. He wouldn't even be 60, I don't think.
It's a good reminder, isn't it, about heart health? He's not,
totally.
He looks like a pretty fit and healthy guy.
Yeah, looks after himself. Not a major drinker. Doesn't smoke. Used to have the odd chuff, I think, from memory at uni. But no, he's a very clean living bloke. Lives up there with his lovely wife Carolyn in the Adelaide Hills with a beautiful garden. Got dogs, got chooks. Yeah, he's an outdoorsy sort of a person. But yeah, that's sad to hear, but good to hear that he's doing well.
A deadly kind of drug is now being found in Aussie wastewater. Nitazene, a so-called zombie drug, has been a problem in the US for a decade, but now the synthetic opioid is turning up in Australia and at higher levels than in the US. News Corp says the drug was first picked up during pill testing in Brisbane in November. Now the University of Queensland's tested 700 samples of wastewater at 68 sites in 22 countries, finding the drug only in 2 places, the United States and Australia.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It's pretty dead. This stuff's awful.
Why the hell would you take that stuff? Have you seen the footage of people taking it? They look like they're in Michael Jackson's
Do people know they're taking it, or does it get mixed in with something else they think they're taking?
Well, maybe.
I don't know the answer to that. Because I'm with you. There's got to be some explanation.
I think there'd be people who'd knowingly take it. And there's people who take ketamine. If you've got any horse tranquilizer, I'd like to take some of that, thanks.
2 NASA astronauts stuck on the ISS since June have now begun their trip home. It's actually really happening this time. It's 17 hours it takes to get back to Earth. They're due to splash down near the Florida coast about 8:30 our time. Interesting, you can get from space back down faster than you can get from Australia to Europe.
I was thinking that. Well, that's quicker. Mentioning Dallas as we were at the start of the show, that's quicker than the Dallas-Sydney trip.
Yeah. Boeing Starliner test pilots Sonny Williams and Barry Wilmore were meant to be at the ISS for no longer than 10 days, and as we know, they've been there for some 9 months.
I reckon, too, the service would be better on board than it is with Qantas Economy.
Why? I wonder what you get. You probably get more food these days than a little sort of couple of biscuits and a square of cheese.
Exactly.
AI literacy has topped the list amongst the 15 fastest growing skills that both Australian bosses and workers need to stay on top of. Skills for an average job are going to change by as much as 66% by 2030, which sounds a long way off, but it's not now. It's less than 5 years away, 2030. LinkedIn careers expert Kayla Dengate says there's no need to be frightened of AI, and it's a matter of adapting skills such as answering the phone, data input entry, and compiling summaries that will simply disappear over time.
Some of these skills are going to disappear because, the skills that generative AI can do. But the skills that are taking their place that we're seeing are those human-to-human skills like communication, strategic thinking, adaptability.
Now, when are we going to be replaced by AI, Will? Do you reckon we could start taking Fridays off and just see if ChatGPT can do the show? Would anyone notice?
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
I reckon they would.
Well, what if they didn't? I reckon we're in real trouble of getting paid Monday to Thursday at that point.
Talking about whether Chris Pine had ever had a cigarette or not, someone texted him before saying David said the odd chuff, like he knows something about it. Would you get a term like the odd chuff from ChatGPT? Would you get ChatGPT talking about, okay, what are the enduring Adelaide mysteries with the detail that our listeners do? I don't think you would. You'd get this bland, management-sounding language dominating the show. And you wouldn't get Australian vernacular being used on the program, e.g., joining us now, Tom Wren. Later today, we'll have Kochie on the program, and we're going to ask him the question, is the succession plan now a bit of a dead duck? Would ChatGPT use a term like a dead duck?
Well, I think if it was just trained to listen to everything you'd said, it would nail all those things.
Poor old ChatGPT having to listen to me all the time.
Whilst you were talking, I just typed into Grok on Twitter. This is Elon Musk's AI. What are the enduring unsolved mysteries in South Australia? And it said the Summerton Man case, the disappearance of the Beaumont children, the Murray Man is one we didn't talk about, the disappearance of Rihanna Barrow, the Knowles family UFO encounter. I'm not familiar with that one either. Didn't do too bad a job.
It actually did a more comprehensive job than we did. We would just sacked ourselves on air, mate.
Okay, I'm not going to do that again. Okay. Tom Wren's in the 5AA Breakfast Studio.
You take the rest of our lives off.
We're going to talk sport. Make sure, weather-wise today, you cover up the barbecue. Make sure you stay sun smart, as we say, because the same goes for you. Be sun smart and cover up. Top of 33 today. Rennie, let's talk sport. To make room for renovations, Agostina Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now. Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes. Good morning.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Look, it hasn't taken long for the heat to ramp up. We've spoken about it. You've got David Koch on the program. Looking forward to it. But Ken Hinkley, just a little bit testy. It was, and I don't think it's a bad thing. He handled himself, I think, as well as he could have, but obviously some probing questions, which is, I think the media's right, and, they're speaking on behalf of the fans. This was just a little bit of a snapshot of it yesterday.
Sim was speaking about things last night. Kane and Nick Rewalt were talking about when you're sort of told that you're not the man for the long term. How would you respond to those direct opinions?
Can I ask you what question you're asking me? Because I said before.
Well, I'm asking you.
The two boys that you're talking, the two people you're talking about, they're not asking me that question. If they want to, I'm really happy for them to ask that question directly to
Well, I can ask you one.
Yeah.
The fire is still as strong as it ever has been for you.
And you're asking that question, Josh?
I'm asking Josh.
I think you know the answer to that. Of course it is. I'm as excited as I've been all year. I've said that all the way through. I'm disappointed in a really bad loss, but I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to jump to a position that I wasn't in last Thursday. I'm excited by what this team can do. I'm excited by the growth of our team, and I'm excited by the direction this footy club's going.
So saying all the right things, that was Josh Money there from 7. So, there was a lot of criticism on Monday night, and he was putting it to him, and then Ken was sort of retorting, well, is it you now asking the question, or is it them?
I quite liked his answer.
Yeah.
What are you there? Are you there sort of as an emissary of Kane Corns, or have you thought this one up all on your own?
And look, I think Josh, he was just reflecting, the noise that's coming from everyone.
Totally.
But and Ken's
stood his ground well, Josh.
He did. He followed it through. Yeah, and that was good.
A footy coach strategy is always to turn on the sports journos. I think they can have a bit of a lend of them. That was good, though.
It was good stuff. And look, I thought Ken was strong though too, but it's all about the response now, isn't it? So, I'm looking forward to hearing from Kochie and, the messaging and everything he's going to say.
I reckon he'll be similarly disgusted by the line of question.
But it's a bit of a Margaret Thatcher, George Negus scenario, isn't it? So, well, which people? Which people are saying this?
Yeah. And the mark has been laid, boys. Jackson Archer, 3 weeks upheld. It makes you wonder whether players will attack the football or wait for the player on the ground just to get it. Because if you go after the ball, you could get rubbed out. So, intriguing.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny today, 33 with the 6:30 news. I'm Matthew Pantelis.
For the best price, quality and same-day service, trust Complete Windscreens. RAA approved, Main North Road, Prospect.
A hiccup for the Steelworks at Whyalla with a decision to shut down the blast furnace for at least 48 hours for essential maintenance. Administrators Court of Mentha have brought in Blue Scope for consultation. They've advised repairs are needed to ensure the long-term viability of the furnace. Over $1 billion owed to creditors when the Steelworks were placed in administration last month. Russian President Vladimir Putin has told Donald Trump one of his conditions to end the war with Ukraine is the stopping of all foreign aid to Kyiv. US correspondent Jonathan Kearsley.
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin spoke on the phone for at least 90 minutes. The call coming a week after Ukraine agreed to a 30-day truce. There was no sign of that from the Russian president, who, according to Russian state media, agreed to a 30-day pause on targeting Ukrainian energy infrastructure sites. A readout from the Kremlin saying ending foreign aid and military intelligence sharing was a key plank to stopping the war. The White House readout said the path to peace would begin with an energy ceasefire. Negotiations on further steps will continue in the Middle East.
More than 400 people have been killed in Gaza as Israel continues airstrikes. It's the largest wave of strikes since the ceasefire began in January and is being condemned by leaders worldwide. Israeli government spokesman David Mensa says the strikes are designed to put pressure on Hamas to release hostages still being held in Gaza.
Hamas has rejected all of the proposals. Secondly, Israel has knowledge that Hamas was planning to carry out terrorist attacks against Israel.
The coalition is weighing up lifting defence spending by $15 billion a year. The AFR reporting the party is considering boosting military spending to at least 2.5% of gross domestic product by 2029. Advocates say a major overhaul of the nation's mental health system would cost around $115 million each year. Groups including Headspace and the Black Dog Institute want mental health treatment to be made free for young Australians. They also want better access to specialised care for those who need it. New figures reveal Australians spent a record $69 billion on online goods over the last year, up 12% on the year before. Nearly 10 million households shopped online, $16 billion spent on online marketplaces. We splurged $13 billion on food and liquor and almost $10 billion on fashion and apparel. Gary Starr from Australia Post says cost of living pressures have changed what we buy and how we shop.
South Australia has seen a spike in online purchases with a 4.9% growth year on year, and 80% of South Australian households shopped online. The state's top suburbs for online shopping are Adelaide City, Mount Gambier and Craigmore, shopping most across online marketplaces and fashion.
And the Sydney Harbour Bridge celebrating its 93rd birthday today. The world-renowned symbol is being repainted ahead of its 100th birthday. Up to 300 litres of paint are being used every day to refresh the steel. Turning to 5AA Sport.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now. Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
Morning, Tom Wren.
And to you as well, Matty. We'll start with football. North Melbourne defender Jackson Archer has failed in his challenge against a 3-game ban for rough conduct. The AFL tribunal rejected Archer's claim he tried to slow down before colliding with his opponent, whose head was over the ball. AFL great James Hird telling Nine's Footy Classified it's difficult to coach players how to approach ground ball contests in the modern game.
You want your players to have contact, you want your players to actually approach the ball and hit up at the player, but the only thing to say to Jackson Archer is next time you have to tread water and let him win the ball and potentially dispose of the ball, which goes against everything you're teaching players in a game of football. But if you want to avoid suspension, tread water and don't make contact, which I think is a bit ridiculous.
Elsewhere, Hawthorn's Jack Scrimshaw had his 3-game ban upheld, while Richmond's Tom Lynch failed to overturn his 1-match suspension. Briefly elsewhere, Carlton forward Charlie Curnow has been cleared to take on Hawthorn tomorrow night after missing round 1 with a knee injury, and Collingwood is set to be boosted by the return of match winner Jordan De Goey, who will be free to line up against the Bulldogs on Saturday night. Well, South Aussie cricket coach Ryan Harris admits he's got some big selection calls ahead of next week's Shield final against Queensland. The batsmen have hit form and there's no shortage of bowling options for Harris and his team.
We obviously rested probably 2 guys from this game, which is Doggett and Scott. But yeah, we've got to work out whether we're going to go spin again or whether we go the extra quick, and that's going to be the hard part because 2 quicks bowling pretty well. Only one goes into the team, the other one doesn't.
SA will host Queensland after the Bulls just held off Victoria by less than half a point to remain in second place on the Shield table. The final will begin next Wednesday. And that's the 5AA Sport.
5AA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 33 today, shower or 2 tomorrow 29, cloud clearing Friday 28, and a sunny weekend, temps around 30. Right now 14. 5AA, always Adelaide.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes to 7. Plenty of great texts coming through on the Police Home Care text line this morning. Lots of people nominating their favourite mysteries as we anticipate the full unredacted release of the JFK files in the United States. That's one of the stories we're following this morning. Much closer to home, there's a bit of a mystery developing around what's going to become of the Wireless Steelworks. Who's going to buy it? And for how long can the South Australian taxpayers sustain it? We're going to be getting into all those issues with the Premier after 7 o'clock this morning. Right now, and talking of tricky questions, we turn our minds to questions of etiquette. Lucy's in the studio, and I like this morning, Lucy. This is good because it's awkward because it involves money.
Money is always awkward. The question today for the phoners to please ring in 8223 0000. How do you settle the bill? Cost of living's now tight. I've had a few friends in the past who are over generous, and then I don't think I've ever paid for a single coffee with them.
Mm-hmm.
Other people happy to you do this one, I'll do the next one. Coffee, I feel like it's okay to sort of, that's $5 here and there. When it's a dinner, you're with your friends.
Dinner's
there's 6 of you, more than 6. Do you split it evenly? Is it someone's turn to hopefully not pay for the whole lot and then you rotate, like a situation like that? What is the etiquette of splitting the bill these days? People are counting cash like they never have before. People going out to eat and drink is somewhat of a luxury. How do you settle the bill? And
it's a good question.
If you feel like you've been wronged, do you ask people for extra money to be donated back to you?
8223 0000. Maybe our listeners have been in situations where it's gotten really awkward or there's been a fight.
Oh, I reckon there would be.
Yeah, let us know.
I think there's 2 variables. There's 2 things that make it complicated. There's some people, and obviously, they're people of greater means. Some people, when you go out, automatically go, well, let's get some starters. Maybe we'll get some oysters. Maybe we'll get some dips. Maybe we'll get some carpaccio. Others go
there's $60 before you've even had your main.
60. You might pay. You might even pay 60 for. Well, you wouldn't pay 60 for some raw sliced Italian beef. You might in some restaurants, but so you've got the big eaters who treat dinner as a 2 or even a 3-course meal proposition. The other thing is drinking. Yes,
this is a point I raised with Will. A lot of my friends are really good with this. Like, if we have some non-drinkers in the group, we just do our drinks separately. But if you are a party of 12, someone orders a soft drink, 3 people get cocktails, bottle of wine, do you just split it evenly amongst you? Are people that relax these days, or does Jeff go, no, I had a lemonade, so I'm going to pay my probably $6 for a lemonade these days?
I got to say, I find I didn't have the entree person pretty annoying. And I sort of think, well, what are you doing here with us then? Do you come out and you want to treat... Are we all meant to be here relaxing and having fun? Or have you come here in an already agitated state going, I'm not paying an extra $4 because I didn't have any of the taramasalada?
Yeah, I think drinks is fine because people either drink or non-drink, and alcohol invariably costs more. But chipping in for an entree, I think you should just do it.
It's funny, like our regular Thursday night with my mates once a month at Wahing in Goodger Street. One of my mates who comes is a very light drinker. Occasionally doesn't drink at all, but we just have this sort of, chuck it all in the middle. Divide it by 4.
Yeah, because
we all take cash.
The relaxed approach.
It's easy when it's a group of friends that you've gone out with a lot.
Yeah,
yeah. And then a lot of those things that are uneven and unfair sort of resolve themselves in time. Like if you've got a group of friends and there'll be someone who's invariably, you're going out with 4 couples and you've got a regular group that you go out with. At various points, someone might be pregnant. And during that period, if you're really good friends, you might go, you know what, we're just going to split it evenly because it's going to be someone else at some other period, or it's been you before, and you can sort of get by. If you're not that close, it becomes problematic. That said, we've got a good text from someone here, and I think this is very true. It was way more difficult back in the days of just cash. This person says, this day and age, it's not that hard to transfer between accounts. Someone just picks up the whole bill when they pay, and everyone just does money transfers afterwards. I think that's simplified the process
I still feel
massively.
Awkward when you get to that point when you go, oh, who's going to pay the whole thing? and then that person's then got to wait for people to transfer.
That's true. That's true. But I went to a place the other day, and I was there to get a coffee. I reckon it was just a coffee, and 16 people had just had breakfast, and every one of them went up to the till and paid their bit separately, and there was a line. They went up and 16 people, and the poor person there had to go, okay, and yours was $22.50, and yours is $22.50.
That would have taken like 10
I was
minutes,
standing there. I felt like when you're trying to just pay for your petrol at a MOTR. I'm like,
there's someone buying a scratch.
what are we doing here?
A triple latte with
It's 2025. Someone just pay it. You can all transfer. A few more texts. Andrew's... Sorry?
I was just laughing at Rob's text.
I'll read it out.
Rob says, with your math skills, Dave, I bet you end up overpaying when splitting the bill. If I was you, I'd sit back, let you work it out and accept the result.
We got a Peppers cleaning pack to give away. One Peppers truck wash cleaning product pack. This is great. It's truck strength, but it works on everything. Cleaning products for your car, caravan, boat or home. peppersaustralia.com.au. Call in and tell us, what's your rule when it comes to settling the bill, or if you've been in an awkward situation? Let's do more texts, because there's a heap of them coming through.
One here from Dan in Woodcroft. Morning team, at our cafe at work, I order a coffee. I usually pay for a coffee for my next colleague who comes to the cafe to try and brighten their day. It doesn't cost much to be nice. A lot of people agreeing with you, Will, saying this day and age it's not hard to transfer between accounts. Someone picks up the bill when everyone just pays what they owe. It's pretty simple. One here from Sue in Henley. I always take cash, every denomination, because there's always someone happy to put the bill on their card for reward points. Reward point. Now, I used to work with a guy in Canberra who was notorious. Back in the days of Diners Club, they had a really good rewards program. Every time you went out for a meal, this guy worked in the press gallery, used to write about finance, so he knew what he was doing. He'd say, look, just everyone give me cash. I'll just put it on my card. I can sort it out. I'll put the cash in the middle. I'll pay my extra portion. I'll just put it on my card. And we worked out he probably flew to like London every year, business class, because he wanted to put as much money on his credit card to get the points, which from memory were 2 points for every $1 spent at the time. It was the best frequent flyer scheme in Australia.
That's amazing.
The Diners Club scheme. Jared says, imagine the rich airline captain out on an overnight trip in New York, decided to order the $200 bottle of French Bordeaux, whereas I'm just happy for a local beer. Then they want to split the bill. It happened more than once. Seriously?
Yeah, but when people, I mean, that's where the etiquette starts. Someone goes, oh, let's get a bottle of the Grange or whatever, and you pipe up and say, I don't drink red wine. I don't want to. Do you say that?
You're hanging out with some pretty fancy friends there, Lou. Someone ordering the Grange.
Trust me, it wasn't me suggesting that.
I remember shortly after school, someone I went to school with played for a professional sporting team locally, and there was a team view. They had team dinners, and they went to their first team dinner. And this is someone who was 18, 19 at the time. They just got their first, professional contract or started getting paid. And they sat down, and the team leaders who had been around, all the blokes in their 30s and so forth, they sat down to dinner, and they were ordering crayfish and champagne, and this guy's sitting there going, oh, I've only got my first paycheck here. How in the hell am I going to foot the bill of what ended up? He had like a schnitzel and a Coke or something or other. And it was like, a $97 bill or something absolutely ridiculous, but sat there with just chills going up his spine watching this scene unfold.
Should he have piped up and said, excuse me?
Well, the team ethos was, we split the bill.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, wow. Geraldine, good morning.
Hi, you have to be an idiot to pay for someone else's meal. I mean, if you sit there and you've got the meal in front of you and you're contributing to somebody else's food as well. I like to have the meal in front of me and know that I paid for it. And if everybody, and I don't drink alcohol, so for the people that drink wine, they'd be better off than someone that just drinks a glass of Coca-Cola.
Have you ever been stung, Geraldine? Have you ever been out with people who've ordered big and got the wine and all that, and then expected that you should pay too?
Well, I remember years ago, a Chinese restaurant. How you have all the food in the middle of the table, and there's about 50 courses, and each time they come around, and you've got 5 dim sims or whatever it is. You have one each, and then you get some idiot that takes 4 out of them, and then you're sitting there and you're starving to death because what's come out isn't enough to fill you because some other idiot has eaten most of the other stuff, and no one says anything. No,
Yeah.
I just think it's better, and even with this day and age, you buy what you can afford.
Yeah,
If
no,
you're
good on
paying
you,
for half
Geraldine.
the bill, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, good on
Great
you,
call.
Geraldine. I
Thanks,
tell you what,
Geraldine.
you've got the Peppers cleaning products coming your way, Geraldine. I get the feeling your place is probably spotless, but you'll love these. Peppers Truck Wash Cleaning Product Pack. Truck strength cleaning products for your car, caravan, boat or home. peppersaustralia.com.au.
Great stuff, Luce.
That was terrific. Let's check traffic now, and when we return, we'll check in with SAPOL and the weather. Think about selling your commercial property. Need advice? We'll talk to the experts at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Thanks, Will, and morning, David. Not looking too bad today. Got a small two-car bingle at Coromandel East to look out for, Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road, slow at Riverlea Park, Port Wakefield Road near Carmelo Road, and getting busy for works at Happy Valley, Chandler's Hill Road near Happy Valley Drive. Slow going, South Road, Clovelly Park with a camera at Beveridge Road and Ingle Farm. Stop speeding, or South Australia Police will stop you with more speed guns and more road safety cameras. Think road safety. A message from the Government of South Australia. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
If you appreciate sporty handling in a compact car that puts the fun back into driving, you'll love the game-changing Corolla at Jarvis Toyota. It features a 1.8-litre fuel-efficient hybrid electric system engine, plus cutting-edge safety advancements. And every new Corolla comes standard with capped price servicing. Exhilarating Corollas are in stock and ready to go. Take a test drive today at the new Jarvis Toyota, Brighton Road, Somerton Park.
G'day, Alan Gray here. Talking mechanic to mechanic, one of the toughest parts of our job would have to be tracking down the most reliable four-wheel drive parts. At Terrain Tamer, we have Australia's largest range of four-wheel drive parts, all designed, engineered and tested to outperform the original. Hey, righto guys. Talk to one of Terrain Tamer's army of trained parts interpreters who all speak fluent four-wheel drive, or jump online and have over 60,000 parts at your fingertips, delivered anywhere in Australia. Go to terraintamer.com.
Alpha Industries is celebrating 40 years in business. That's 40 years standing strong. Alpha Industries is proudly SA owned and operated. They're the experts at sheds, verandas and any outdoor solutions. They only use premium Australian Blue Scope steel and the latest installation technology.
Alpha Industries will give the full service from lodging and following up council to organising installation on site. Alpha Industries will also ensure that your veranda, carport, patio or shed is made to suit your lifestyle and, importantly, your budget.
Alpha Industries, standing strong for 40 years. Visit the factory and display centre at 12 Stock Road, Cavan, or the Glandore Display Village, 712 South Road, Glandore. Go to alphaindustries.com.au.
Transform your outdoor space and turn it into a great year-round entertainment area with an opening and closing roof from Louver House. Our Louver House roof will let in the perfect combination of airflow and sunlight, so you can entertain no matter the weather. Best of all, they're manufactured right here in SA with rain sensors and options like LED lighting. Find out more with a free design measure and quote. See the light with Louver House. louverhouse.com.au.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
11 to 7, Michael solved all of our problems with a nap. He just texted in on the police home care text line and says, guys, you know there's an app for all this, Splitwise. You and your friends all download the app, you add each other to it, then when you buy something, you just put in how much you paid, and everyone else gets an IOU. Then when they buy you something, it comes off the IOU, or you get one for them depending on what the difference is. I guess that's one way of keeping track.
I like this one from Rick in Aldenga. The 16 people paying is painful. However, what about the person who walks to the till to place their order only to stand there deciding what they should have?
Oh,
the line
Rick.
sends, make up your mind before you head up to order.
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
The total lack of awareness when there's 9 people in a line and someone's there making small talk. Are these good? Are these fresh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all so yummy.
Yeah. Oh, what's in that roll?
Yeah.
Read the menu.
Yeah, order and shut up. That's right. Let's head to the Weather Bureau. Jenny Horvat is on duty this morning. Morning to you, Jenny.
Good morning, guys.
What's Wednesday going to look like?
Yeah, so a warmer day out there today. We've got that high pressure system out to our east, maintaining that northerly airstream. We are looking for a top temperature in the city of 33 degrees, maybe around 34 for the northern suburbs, 31 along the coast, 32 forecast for Mount Barker for today. Currently it is 16.5 degrees at the West Terranova observation site, and we did see our minimum temperature at about 6:40 this morning of 13.6. We do have a change on the way tomorrow, so got that moving through tomorrow morning. Another one of these patchy rain bands coming through tomorrow. Maybe looking a little bit more optimistic to see a little bit in the city compared to Sunday, but it will be patchy, so it'll be a little bit hit and miss. There is also the chance of a thunderstorm on Thursday, so if we see some thunderstorm activity, those totals are expected to be a little bit higher as well, and we will see our winds shifting southwesterly during the course of the morning and southeasterly for the evening. Be a warm night ahead of that change, 23 on the minimum there, potentially getting up to 29, but it'll probably be cooler for most of the day through there. We'll see that cloud clearing on Friday, maximum temperature of 28 degrees, mostly sunny afternoon through there. And looks like a sunny, mostly sunny weekend coming up with temperatures forecast for 28 for Saturday, 30 degrees for Sunday.
Good stuff, Jenny. Hopefully the rain turns up. It's been sort of threatening us and then heading too far north or too far south, but
nice to get some.
Would be good to get some, yeah.
All right, let's head to Sapole. Senior Constable Holly Frisbee's on the line. Holly, good morning. There's been a suspicious car fire at Fulham.
Yeah, good morning to you both too. Just after 11 o'clock last night, police and MFS were called to the corner of Fitch Road and Good Street, Fulham, after reports a Kia sedan was on fire. MFS quickly extinguished the fire, not before extensive damage was caused. Police were unable to locate any suspects in the area. Checks on the car showed that it had been stolen from a Modbury home earlier this month. Anyone with information on the incident or saw any suspicious activity is asked to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And, Holly, also in the northern suburbs, a man has been arrested after a chase.
Correct. Just after 11:30 last night, police in Paralawi conducted rego checks on a stationary vehicle in Rita Drive, which showed that the silver Ford sedan was bearing false plates. A number of patrols quickly responded and cordons were established. A short time later, the car attempted to drive off from police when spikes were successful on Rita Drive. Police followed the car to Mayo Crescent, Salisbury Downs, where the male driver exited the vehicle and attempted to run into a nearby house. Police quickly chased the man and safely arrested him without any incident. Further checks on the car revealed it was stolen from Port Adelaide last month. Checks on the man identified he was also wanted for a warrant, breaching his bail and other outstanding matters. The 29-year-old man from Hope Valley was charged with numerous charges, including breach of bail, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving a car with unassigned plates, unlicensed, never held, and some other outstanding warrants. He was refused bail and will appear in the Elizabeth Magistrates Court today.
Did you say unlicensed, never held, Holly? So he's never had a licence?
Correct.
Wow. And how old was he? 27, you said?
29-year-old man.
29. Wow. 13 years after he could have got his licence. He's left his run a bit late. And
other outstanding warrants.
And on bail. Yeah. Quite a smorgasbord of unpleasant behaviour.
I know it's not right to generalise these days. But it seems often...
I do it.
It seems often, well, maybe you might be able to put these in different words, that the people that are caught driving without a licence tend not to worry about other laws as well. Would that be a fair characterisation, do you think?
Absolutely. And it does
maybe we should treat then that one more seriously.
Yeah, correct. Thank you for that, Holly. Holly Frisbee there. But why do we bother suspending the licences or saying to people who habitually drive without a licence, we're going to suspend your licence?
Yeah, that'll learn them.
Yeah, great. No worries.
We also had a chat with Holly off air, and police are still putting together their report on this, so we'll get more on it a little bit later. But we have been alerted to what sounds like a significant street fight on Robart Street, Parkside. Police will update us a little bit later in the morning.
Street fight?
A street fight.
In Parkside?
Yeah.
Parkside?
The ambulance was in attendance, according to some of the witnesses that have contacted us.
A couple of stockbrokers going at it. I mean, it's not exactly South Central Los Angeles, Parkside.
Well, it's one we're going to follow. We'll get more information from SAPA once they've compiled their report a little bit later. In the meantime, we're going to check in with Jade Robran for the first time this morning. Good morning to you, Jade.
Good morning to you guys. We would love this morning to hear from residents in Sellex Beach this morning because there's reports of a potentially toxic dust cloud hovering over the seaside suburb. Now, Nearby, there's a quarry, and residents are adamant that that's where the dust is coming from. They've been complaining for weeks that the dust from the quarry is carrying through the air and lingering over the suburb, which is absolutely terrifying for these local residents. Of course, it's causing mess and dust is everywhere, but more than anything, they're really fearful for their health. It's causing uncertainty and anger in the community. The residents, they've actually taken it upon themselves to get the dust tested, and they firmly believe that it could be potentially life-threatening and toxic. We've had several people reach out to us on social media, and we've also spoken to MP Frank Pangello about the issue. Now, a major frustration for the residents is that their concerns have basically been falling on deaf ears up until now. So Frank wants to change that and try and help. But there was a council meeting last night, and you can understand things got a little heated with passionate residents speaking out. One resident has posted, "Just wanted to say a big thank you to those who held the meeting and attended tonight's crisis meeting. It was overwhelming to hear everybody's stories and hear their concerns. Let's hope we can come together to make a difference for our community." They've also attached a mineral report of dust collected from what is coming out of this quarry. They go on to say that this is what we're breathing in daily. It is alarming. This is affecting our health and our environment. Here is some of the residents talking on a current affair after the meeting last night.
They've increased the volume of business exponentially, and the volume of dust now is totally unbearable. The actual inconvenience factor is annoying, but the health factor is extremely worrying.
Coughing, tightness of chest, foggy head. So that's the physical part of it. And when we had a test and we saw what it contained, I'm now scared that it's already affected me for the future.
So how long these residents have been breathing in this potentially toxic fume is anybody's guess, but you can understand they're really, really concerned about their health and their safety. If any residents from Sellex Beach are listening in, please call in and we would love to have a chat with you and just hear exactly how you're feeling, how it's affecting your life. But Will and Dave, there's an area near this quarry that's been earmarked for 17,000 new homes. So no doubt after the past 24 hours after this news has broken, the government will be paying very close attention to the land to see if it is safe to build on.
Interesting. And there's a hell of a lot of new houses going in down there. Apparently, the level of dust it produces is below the maximum permitted by the EPA. That's what the state government says. But clearly, whatever level it's at, a lot of the locals say it's too high because they're the ones who are...
Well, if it's causing that level of irritation, and it's that noticeable...
Breathing in. Yeah. There was a meeting...
I wonder if the maximum level... about it. I'd be interested to know whether the maximum level relates to... It was designed around there being ongoing exposure or spikes in exposure. Because I think that makes a very different experience based on livability.
Well, actually, no, there was... Here we go. So back in only last month, on 10th of February 2025... the Department of Energy and Mining observed excessive dust being produced by operations at Sellex Hill Quarry as part of the EPA and the department's remote surveillance campaign. In response, the EPA issued ADBRI, which is the people who run the quarry, a notice for a potential breach of Section 25. So they have actually been pinged on occasions for exceeding it. So it sounds like the locals are actually... quite valid in their concerns.
5AA News is coming up. The Premier of South Australia next. Some big developments overnight with regard to the viability of the Whyalla Steelworks. That's next.
City Discount Tires. Get saving this month at City Discount Tires. Grab 3 Falcon Zeek ZE 310R passenger car tires and get the 4th tyre absolutely free. Experience top-notch performance with exceptional grip on both wet and dry surfaces. Steer your way to citydiscounttires.com.au for even more great deals. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
Local news and information first. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny and 33 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Chipped windscreen. RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
Only months after firing up, the blast furnace at the Whaler Steelworks has been shut down for at least 2 days while essential maintenance is carried out. The administrators are pushing ahead with the shutdown at Whaler on the advice of Blue Scope, who were brought in to review operations. Cordamentha took over the operations last month with the Steelworks placed in administration by the state government. Families of Israeli hostages are fearful an attack on Gaza could have consequences for their loved ones. Israel has launched a barrage of airstrikes on the Palestinian enclave, killing more than 400 people. It claims the attack designed to put pressure on Hamas to release those still being held captive. But Harut, the mother of hostage Tamir Nimrodi, is concerned it will have the opposite effect.
I'm very scared. I'm very frustrated of what's going on and have no idea what is going to be next.
Russia will cease targeting Ukrainian energy infrastructure for 30 days while it continues discussions with the US about a permanent ceasefire. President Vladimir Putin has spent 90 minutes on the phone with his American counterpart talking through the terms of agreement. Australia's former ambassador to the US, Arthur Sinodinos, has told Today he believes Russia's playing a game.
Drawing the negotiations out as long as they can to get as many concessions as they can get. Trump was able to get the concession on a ceasefire on energy and infrastructure, and that's a good thing, but everything else is still up for grabs. So he's not giving anything up at the moment very much.
Police are investigating a car fire at Fulham at 11 last night. The Kia had been stolen from a Modbury home earlier in the month. Meantime, Senior Constable Holly Frisbee says patrols arrested a 29-year-old man in Salisbury Downs after he was found driving a stolen car.
Police followed the car to Mayo Crescent, Salisbury Downs, where the male driver exited the vehicle and attempted to run into a nearby house. Police quickly chased the man and safely arrested him without any incident. Further checks on the car revealed it was stolen from Port Adelaide last month.
He's charged with breach of bail, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving a car with unassigned plates, unlicensed, never held a licence, and an outstanding warrant. At least a dozen people have been killed in a plane crash in the Caribbean, the aircraft plunging into the sea minutes after taking off from Roatan Island. 5 people survived, 1 remains missing. Australians who are feeling socially disconnected are least likely to reach out for help. The NRMA has conducted its annual survey of 2,000 members, finding 11% would reach out for help if they're struggling financially. Chief Membership Officer Victoria Doig says isolation is one of the biggest issues facing Australians.
50% are not necessarily feeling that they are in a place where they could ask for help in their community. 30% are feeling socially anxious at the moment.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese spoken with his new Canadian counterpart Mark Carney. They discussed the current pressure on the global trade system and a shared commitment to economic cooperation. The pair also recommitting to building on the strong links between the two countries, as well as standing with Ukraine in the war with Russia. Turning to 5AA Sport.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now, Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
And here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Matty. The verdicts are in for the 3 cases that went before the AFL Tribunal last night. Kiara Parker has the details.
North Melbourne defender Jackson Archer's 3-match rough conduct ban over the sickening collision that knocked out Bulldog Luke Cleary has been upheld, with the Roos indicating they're unlikely to appeal. The hearing told Archer had slowed too little and too late. Hawthorn has also been unsuccessful at the tribunal, failing to reduce Jack Scrimshaw's 3-game ban for striking after arguing it should be graded as high impact, not severe. And Richmond spearhead Tom Lynch will miss Saturday's match against Port Adelaide after his 1-game ban for a high bump was upheld.
Let's go to cricket. South Australia's Sheffield Shield match has finished in a draw against Queensland. Jason Sanger fine-tuning nicely ahead of next week's final with an unbeaten 103. SA will host Queensland again in next week's Shield final, which begins on Wednesday. Well, Socceroos players say there's a sense of calm around Tony Popovic's third camp as coach, believing they now have a foundation which could see them qualify for the World Cup. They'll host Indonesia tomorrow night and must win to cement second spot in their group. The NBL Grand Final Series will continue tonight with Melbourne United hosting the Illawarra Hawks. Melbourne can claim the championship as they lead the best-of-5 series 2-1. And the Rip Curl Pro Portugal's round of 16 is on standby due to severe weather. And that's the 5AA Sport.
5AA's traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Not looking too bad for the running today. Got a small two-car Bingala Coromandel East. It's on Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road, so it's out of the way, no great dramas. Glenorg East has works to look out for. Brighton Road near Dunbar Terrace, they're always pretty slow, and always slow at West Croydon too for works on Port Road near East Avenue. Getting busy, South Road, Clovelly Park with an early morning camera, Gorge Road and Athelston. OTR's $10 meal deals are here for break your lunch and dinner. Delicious combos, great taste, unbeatable value. OTR, making life easy. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny 33 today, a shower or two tomorrow 29, cloud clearing Friday 28, and a sunny weekend, temps around 30. Right now it's 18, 5AA, always Adelaide.
We know you are concerned about SA's public hospital capacity and how long it can take to see a doctor. So are we. We need enough doctors to provide the safe, quality care you deserve. There are solutions for South Australia and it's not rocket science. Visit safermedicalstaffing.com.au and sign the petition to support our 3-point plan for enough doctors for South Australia. Authorised by Dr. David Koch, South Australian Salaried Medical Officers Association, Adelaide.
Above the vibrancy of Kent Town, across the parklands to the city skyline, your view stretches out before you, never to be lost. The East End is at your doorstep, as are the eastern suburbs. This is a lifestyle change beyond expectations. A sky home delivered by an award-winning team known for impeccable quality. Parkline by Chase Crown is living above and beyond. An opportunity not to be missed. parklinekentown.com.
Steinborner Hyundai has always been well worth a trip, and now there's another great reason to visit. Hyundai's full range of hybrids. Steinborner Hyundai has a hybrid to suit every driver, from the hybrid i30, the Kona, the Tucson, as well as the all-new Santa Fe hybrid family-sized SUV. Experience the difference at Steinborner Barossa and Clare, with outstanding service and a great range of vehicles. And you'll see why. Steinborner Hyundai is well worth a trip. Steinborner.com.au.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to a Wednesday. If you're joining us for the very first time, coming up this hour on the program, Sean Fewster will join us. We'll go round the courts. Koshy's going to be on. Renewed criticism about the Port Adelaide succession plan will be some of the focus of that chat. Also, we're getting to look forward to the federal budget that's coming out next week. What's he looking at? What are the big figures that piqued his interest? We'll be talking about the release of the JFK files out of the United States after 8 o'clock today as well. And the Police Commissioner will also join us on 5AA Breakfast. But we start the hour with the Premier of South Australia following the release of an affidavit lodged with the federal court in which KordaMentha has warned about the ongoing viability of the of One Steel and the wireless steelworks. The Premier joins us now. Premier, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dave.
So, Premier, just in terms of that May 17 deadline, in everyday language, it looks like the clock is ticking. What happens after May 17 when the money runs out?
So what KordaMentha have made clear to the court, and this was in respect to getting an extension to the second creditors meeting that is required under statute, what KordaMentha is pointing out is the cash position of the business on a worst-case scenario. And what everybody knew, including both the state and the federal government as we entered into this exercise, that we would put on the table funding for the administration, but also working capital for the business so they could be stabilised and start to generate cash again. And there are a number of programs that KordaMentha are undertaking so as to avert that deadline in May 17. So you should see that as a worst-case scenario. But nonetheless, let's assume for a moment that were to eventuate. What we announced in our initial funding package with the federal government is that we were funding the first 6 months of administration, but always understood that there would be the need for more working capital or more cash for the business as administration went on, because we anticipate, certainly as a stat, I can't speak for the federal government, but the state government, we anticipate that this process will go for probably around about, well, at least 18 months, and we know that from past experience. So we stand ready to make sure that the business is able to be stabilised, it can start to generate revenues, it can put itself in the best position for sale, and that will mean that over that period, that sort of, 12 or hopefully 12-month period, but, potentially most likely around an 18-month period, that we get the business in a position so they can be sold to other parties that we know there's already a lot of interest from.
Are we being ripped off by Sanjeev Gupta? This arrangement where steel that's being produced from the steelworks is being sold to him at some pre-arranged contract at a reduced price.
Below cost price.
Below cost price. Are we being fleeced?
No. And this is the whole way that we have structured this exercise is to make sure that all of the, when we say we, the government, we're talking about the taxpayer here, is quarantined. The money that we are investing in the business is quarantined to sort of somehow prop up GFG or Mr. Gupta, which is why we've been very clear about the fact this isn't a bailout of Mr. Gupta. We have certainly injected cash in suppliers that if you were to use uncharitable language, we're being ripped off in Whyalla by GFG. So we've plugged that gap. We've stood up to the plate there. But in terms of the prepayments that were made by other businesses to GFG for product they had not yet produced, which is a pretty extraordinary arrangement that they even entered into, and it speaks to why we put them into administration. In respect to that, that's what the administrator is working through in great detail, quite laborious detail as I have been briefed, because this is, he's got a highly complicated web of arrangements that needs to be untangled in order to be able to get the business in a position ready for sale.
Is there any suggestion that inventory that was prepaid for and sold was simply just being shifted between GFG entities?
Yeah, well, that also goes to one of the issues that's going to be fleshed out through the administration process, and what exactly what was going on. I think the bigger issue to me, and this doesn't, I don't expect people to take much comfort from this, but is important from my perspective, is everything that we have found out post the business going to administration, I think demonstrates exactly why the action we took was the right thing to do. I mean, we knew things anecdotally, and we had some pretty grave suspicions about what GFG were doing to the steelworks and the business itself. But we couldn't have full transparency because they weren't giving us that information. Now that it's gone into administration, we've got that information, and it's clear that this wasn't done a moment too soon. Not a moment too soon. We acted at exactly the right moment to make sure that this thing could survive. Yeah.
Not a moment too soon. Was it done perhaps too late? Because talking about the suspicions you rightly had, Premier, I'll read you one paragraph from the affidavit, and this is about the state of the steelworks. Because of the underinvestment, inadequate maintenance and servicing of critical infrastructure, One Steel's steelworks are, and I'm still quoting, are in a state of disrepair. You're going to try to sell this thing to somebody.
Yeah, that's right. But we knew that we were going to have to invest capital in the business to get it back into a position so that it could be ready for sale. And you're focusing on the state of the steelworks. But you've got to remember, the business in its totality was generating extraordinary amounts of cash. $7.8 billion worth of iron ore was exported out of by GFG because of the associated mines. So there is a valuable enterprise there, and particularly when you link it to a functioning steelworks that has been recapitalised, which is why the state government, the federal government, and it's predominantly federal government money to their credit, have got $1.9 billion on the table for a new owner to invest in the transformation of the steelworks. And this is a key thing, right? We don't expect someone to buy the business and then everyone say, okay, good luck. What we're saying is buy the business and government will partner with you in the investment in the big capital upgrades to transform the steelworks to make it be able to wash its own face so we don't have a cycle of repeat of administration over decades to come. This is a one shot unlock, a big opportunity for a new owner with big capital injections from government to be able to get sovereign steelmaking back on its feet in this country.
So the overall asset, yes, is desirable, the mine, the port, and potentially the steelworks, but a state of disrepair would open speculation that perhaps you might need to build a whole new steelworks. Is that something that is potentially on the cards?
Well, when you say a whole new steelworks, I would say the way I would characterise it is a dramatically transformed steelworks, and that means a lot of new kit. And that's what the $1.9 billion is for. And which goes back to Dave's point earlier about, was this done too late? I wasn't going to put the business into administration, which of course was quite a delicate thing to achieve in of itself, because there are a range of things that GFG could have done. If they had found out about our intentions and our plans, they could have taken actions to inhibit the government. Yeah, that's right. So we had to act sort of carefully and thoughtfully behind closed doors in a way that I couldn't talk about publicly, in a way that now sort of is known. But I also wasn't going to start initiating an action to put it into administration without a plan to get it out of administration. And here lies in the point. We couldn't just rush off as a state government and whack it in administration to appease, someone like Frank Pangella, who was calling, or Rex Patrick, who was just calling for it. I had to make sure that I had the federal government locked in on a massive investment, in this case $1.5 billion coming from the Commonwealth, to be able to make sure that a new owner could get that new kit invested in. And that 1.5 and plus 400 from us, that total of 1.9 billion in new investment and new kit is also going to have to be matched by a substantial injection from the private sector too, because we know that the transformation of the Steelworks as a whole is probably going to require somewhere in the order of a $3 to $6 billion investment in total.
Can you say hand on heart, Premier, right now, that between the feds and the state government, that the amount of money that taxpayers will have to provide to salvage this project will not exceed $1.9 billion?
Well, the total package that we've announced is $2.4 billion.
Okay, so will you have? Yeah. Are you 100% sure that you're not going to have to spend even more money on this?
Look, certainly in respect to the funding of the administration, where within that 2.4 is just the first 6 months of the administration. We always knew that was potentially going to have to extend as administration goes on. And like I said, I can't speak for the federal government, but as far as the state's government is concerned, we know it is likely to go longer than 12 months, hopefully 18 months. There's that factor in, but beyond that, no, we are committed to that $1.9 billion figure, and we don't anticipate it to grow from there. But you're also asking me, Dave, to, predict the future about what has been a pretty unpredictable set of circumstances, and I'm not going to sort of start playing the rule-in, rule-out game, but we're pretty committed, or we are committed to the package. It has been funded, it's been committed to by the Commonwealth. I think we will see it in the budget that's due to be handed down.
The reason I was asking, I wasn't trying to do the sort of, can you guarantee, hand on heart, blah, blah, blah. Just the vibe of that affidavit, when you read the paragraphs, it feels like they've walked into this, opened the doors and gone, bloody hell, this is way worse than we thought.
Yeah, I don't know what Port of Memphis's expectations were, but I've got to say it's consistent with what I thought. And the reason why I say that is because, to put it sort of bluntly, over sort of my time in this sort of these roles, working people tend to tell it the way it is. And I spent a fair bit of time talking to people who work in the steelworks, actually doing the work in Whyalla. And we were getting all these briefs from Mr. Gupta and all these acolytes. And I wanted to believe every word they were telling me. But the workers on the ground, the union delegates and the workers who just care about the town and their families, they were telling us something very different indeed. And what you see in that affidavit is utterly consistent with what workers were telling us anecdotally on the ground. So there was a bit of their comments to me when I was in Whyalla were unfiltered. And so I'm not entirely surprised what we now see being borne out from Court of Memphis's investigations.
Premier, we're hearing for the first time in a long time that the steel mill is actually hiring as part of the stabilisation process. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, look, this is the irony. When we put the business into administration, in the weeks up to that, the union was telling us that that the business was giving out more overtime than they can remember, right? Because they had slashed and burned so hard that when the blast furnace got back up and running again, that they then had to find people to do some work around the place. And of course, overtime, as any manager will tell you, overtime is almost a bit of a cardinal sin because you're paying workers huge penalty rates for overtime when in actual fact you'd just be better off having more staff. That would be far more productive. It'd also be safer. So the stabilisation of the business is looking to hire people again. The work orders are going out. There is now cash flowing through the wider economy today as we speak in a way that it hasn't for a very long time indeed. And that's because they're getting the business back on its feet. So the administration is a good thing in Whyalla. And you know, I'd encourage anyone to go up to Whyalla and just get around and talk to people. Like, the town's in a better position now than it's been in a long time. And more than that, they know it's going to get better again in the future if we can land this sale, not just to any owner, but to the right owner, to make sure that this place has got a long-term future that can stand on its own 2 feet and produce steel for the nation in a way that we know is needed.
Premier Peter Malinauskas, thanks for joining us this morning.
Cheers.
The opposition's raising questions about how much money this is going to cost and still sceptical about the guarantees that the Premier has given. Vincent Tarzia said to me just now that the Libs are saying we want the government to be forthcoming and transparent, in particular about how much of the $384 million of taxpayer funds allocated for the stabilisation of the steelworks during administration will have been spent by mid-May, and does the 12-month extension mean there will need to be extra taxpayer funds provided to the administration, and if so, how much?
Those timelines are intriguing because it means we're still going to be talking about this issue at the next state election.
Yeah.
What's the future of the Whyalla Steelworks is going to be very much a live question.
Yeah, absolutely.
22 after 7. Let's check traffic. And when we come back, we'll talk sport before we go round the courts with Sean Fuster. Luva House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. Still clearing up a two-car smash at Coromandel East. It's on Auckland Hill Road near Weymouth Road. Still clearing that up. Bit slow too at the moment. Riverlea Park has works. Port Wakefield Road near Carmelo Road. We're slow at Kent Town to go to Terrace near Rundle Street for works. And down to 40 at Clarendon, Grand Scully Road near Clarendon Road. Early morning cameras, Brook and Terrace, Richmond and Churchill Road at Prospect. Harris Scarf sale is on now. Save 40% off air fryers by Tefal and Healthy Choice. Exclusions apply. Harris Scarf, great brands, great prices. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
The housing crisis in South Australia, it's quite disturbing to learn that you need the second most amount of money in Adelaide to buy a house. We're only behind Sydney in terms of the amount of money you earn and the amount of money you need to save to get into a house.
Graham Goodings.
Workers can effectively no longer buy a house unless you're earning $150,000. You're just not going to catch up.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
I'm high! The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home, and right now, you can tuck into a schnitty and a pint for just $22 in the front bar. Not bad, hey? That's a schnitty and a pint for just $22, only in the front bar. Make sure you check out their $20 jugs of the month too, plus live acoustic music every Saturday and Sunday from 5 till 8 p.m. The Excelsior Hotel. Feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barossa hotel.
Some things are worth waiting for, like tickets to your favourite concert, waiting for a nice bottle of Red to breathe, or waiting for the kids to finally unpack the dishwasher. But waiting to get your air conditioner serviced just before summer or winter really hits? It's just not worth the pain. Get in touch with Morford Air now for servicing or a new system. Put it at the top of your to-do list. When it's too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air. morfordair.com.au.
Morford.
Now, home maintenance is exhausting. You need to know a plumber, an electrician, a handyman and a renovator, or you could swap all those numbers for just one, the great people at Precise Plumbing and Electrical.
From plumbing and electrical work to pipe relining, bathroom renovations and handyman services, they're your one-stop solution with 25 years' worth of happy customers.
They'll service all areas of Adelaide and be there on time every time with an expert in your field of need, ready to do top-notch work. In fact, they're so confident in their expertise that their workmanship comes with a lifetime warranty.
With free quotes and upfront fixed pricing, Plumbing, Precise Plumbing and Electrical is a name you can trust and the only name you need to remember. Visit preciseservices.com.au.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At Premier Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, Premier Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for Premier Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
Hi, Brett Ebert here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
26 minutes after 7, Sean Fuster shortly. We'll go around the Gorts. Koshy's also coming up in the next half hour. We'll talk footy with Koshy. Let's get a little taste now, though, with Timmy G last night on the sports show. And this started to come through during the call. There's been criticism of Port Adelaide post-game of being too nice. After the game, the analysis throughout the week has been they've been a bit too nice. Timmy was intimating the very same thing during the call on Saturday night. He kept referring back to his own career and talking about how things have changed, and he expanded on that in the sports show last night.
Well, you think they are because you asked the question?
Yeah, I asked the question deliberately because I think we are. And I think some of our actions on field, but especially off field, I think post game, there's no way I would have waited for Dan Houston to finish his media interview so that I could shake his hand. There's no way.
Well, he's the enemy now.
He is absolutely the enemy. He left us
I don't care
by
how good
his
a bloke
choice.
he is, that's it. He's
and
the
you
enemy.
know what? I was saying to Sam off air, I said, if I'd have played against one of my best teammates, right, say a Rowan Smith type guy, and he's standing over there, I'm off that field. I'm down the race. I've been embarrassed and humiliated by 91 points. I'm down there. I'm showered up. I want to get out. I want to put my head down with the shame of what's just happened. And then I want to start the recovery of that so that I don't embarrass myself again the following week. And the thing is, I'm not talking to Rowan for a fortnight, and he knows it, because Rowan won't be bringing me either, because he knows I'm a lunatic, and I don't like losing.
That's excellent, isn't it? How good is that?
He's one of the happiest people on earth, Tim, but when he's angry, he gets angry.
Oh, yeah.
And you could hear it there.
Yeah.
That's the kind of hurt. The one that surprised me, because this generation of young footballer now is different. They just don't see it like Tim does. They don't. They all embrace after the game the ex-teammates and they hug. And Ken Hinkley smiling and mugging with Craig McRae after the game. He's about the same age as Tim. That one was...
You've just copped it up the wazoo and you're just standing there like, it's a social football match or something.
That one I thought that surprised me, just from the perspective of talking about the generational difference.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're ever walking back. The young footballer these days just doesn't see it like that.
Yeah, I struggle. I just can't understand it. It's certainly not the Port way, crikey. And that's the thing, like, through the 70s, when Timmy was playing, the great sort of every year for pretty much a decade, Port won the flag. And, like, those teams were just bloody terrifying. You had to play up to a different level to beat Port through that period. And it was because they had so much unity and self-belief, but total disdain for their opposition, where they just go out like, we just don't get beaten. And if you dared do it, it was like an affront to their very existence.
More on the sports show tonight. Hey, thank you to Graham, who's just called in with a bit of a traffic bit of intel for us. A car has rolled over on Main North Road at Enfield. One to be wary of. Thank you, Graham.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Sunny today and 33 with the 7:30 news. I'm Matthew
Make
Pantelis.
RAA-approved windscreen repairer Complete Windscreens your insurer repairer of choice. Visit completewindscreens.com.au.
Essential maintenance will shut down the blast furnace at the Whaler Steelworks today, and it'll be offline for at least 48 hours to fix ongoing issues. Administrators Court Mentha acting on advice from BlueScope, who were brought in to review operations. The Steelworks forced into administration last month, owing creditors more than $1 billion, but they have started advertising for workers. And Premier Peter Malinauskas telling David and Will things are turning around.
You know, I'd encourage anyone to go up to Wire and just get around and talk to people. Like, the town's in a better position now than it's been in a long time. And more than that, they know it's going to get better again in the future if we can land this sale, not just to any owner, but to the right owner, to make sure that this place has got a long-term future that can stand on its own 2 feet and produce steel for the nation in a way that we know is needed.
Hundreds of people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes, shattering the Gaza ceasefire. Nine's Europe correspondent Hannah Sinclair.
After 2 months of hostages freed and Palestinians able to return to their homes, Israel has broken the fragile ceasefire and restarted the war. Israel says it fully coordinated with the US before launching the fresh wave of airstrikes on terror targets across Gaza, including weapons stockpiles it claims were going to be used to attack Israelis. Gaza's health ministry says more than 400 people, including children, have been killed by these strikes and hundreds more injured. Some Palestinians have been ordered to evacuate their homes, with Hamas accusing Israel of attacking defenceless civilians. But Israel claims the strikes were ordered after talks to extend the ceasefire deal failed. The attacks have already killed at least 5 Hamas officials and are designed to put pressure on the militants to release dozens of hostages still being held in Gaza.
Vladimir Putin has agreed to a partial 30-day ceasefire with Ukraine in a 2-hour telephone conference with Donald Trump, the Russian leader agreeing to stop airstrikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. But the commitment fell short of an immediate 30-day hold on land, air and sea attacks. A 29-year-old man will face court today, charged after police stopped him driving a stolen car. The vehicle spiked at Manopara at about 11:30, but the man drove onto Salisbury Downs, dumping the car and fleeing on foot before he was arrested. Senior Constable Holly Frisbee saying the alleged thief has quite a rap sheet.
Checks on the man identified he was also wanted for a warrant, breaching his bail and other outstanding matters. The 29-year-old man from Hope Valley was charged with numerous charges, including breach of bail, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving a car with unassigned plates, unlicensed, never held, and some other outstanding warrants. Also from overnight, a stolen Kia torched at Fulham at about 11 p.m, police appealing for witnesses. Taxes on cigarettes have fallen short of forecasts. The tobacco excise increased by 25% since 2022, but the government's recorded a revenue shortfall of $31 billion. CoreLogic's latest property report has crunched the resale numbers from the December quarter across Australia. The Pain and Gain document analysed 95,300 properties bought and sold again to see how much profit and in some cases how much loss property owners were making and how long they were holding the dwelling before selling. Head of Research Eliza Owen says houses were far less likely to see a loss than apartments.
So nationally we saw the Australian housing market remains very profitable. 94.8% of sellers made a gain on their previous purchase, and the median profit for those sellers was $306,000.
Former Defence Minister Christopher Pyne is recovering well after a heart bypass. The former member for Sturt thought he had heartburn and took himself to the doctor, finding he was booked in for surgery this week. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now, Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
Training this morning for Port Adelaide. Tom Wren, good morning.
I reckon they're absolutely looking forward to the game, aren't they, Matty? Good morning to you. They will train this morning, as you said, as they look ahead to that big clash against Richmond on Saturday. Now, they might be boosted as well by the return of defender Asafa Radaglia. He's been making good progress from his injury. Meantime, North Melbourne defender Jackson Archer's had his 3-game ban for colliding with Bulldogs defender Luke Cleary upheld. That was heard at the tribunal overnight. We'll switch to cricket. SA coach Ryan Harris says his team has options depending on what surface comes up for next week's Sheffield Shield final. The season decider will be played between SA and Queensland at Karen Knowlton Oval again after the two sides finished first and second respectively. Harris says they can adapt depending on what they see.
I think where we are now, we've got the option. If we need to play spin, we can, and if we don't, then we've got the quicks lining up as well. So we'll have to have a look and debrief on what that is and what that look like, and go from there.
The Socceroos insist they won't be playing it safe in their World Cup qualifier against Indonesia. A draw tomorrow night would keep Australia in the all-important second position in Group C. Left-back Jason Davidson says he's treating the game and next Tuesday's clash with China as must-win.
Why shouldn't we be thinking that way? Each game should be a match where you think that you have to win. You go out there to win. So for me, these next two games, we're going out there for 6 points.
Yeah, that'd be great. And the Illawarra Hawks will be out to level the score against Melbourne United in the NBL Grand Final Series tonight. The Hawks have lost 2 games heading into Game 4 of the Championship Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
5AA's traffic.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Couple of Bengals to look out for this morning. One at Harndorf, Mount Barker Road near Balhanna Road. That's a car. The truck, 2-car smash at Coromandel East, Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road. And slow for works at Riverlea Park this morning. It's on Port Wakefield Road near Carmelo Road. Cameras, you'll find those Crittenden Road, Findon, and Beach Road at Engle Farm this morning. Enjoy Australia's only 10-year, 300,000-kilometre warranty when servicing with authorised Nissan dealers. See website for full T's and C's. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny today, 33, a shower or two tomorrow, 29, cloud clearing Friday, 28, and a sunny weekend, temps around 30. Right now, it's 19. 5AA, always Adelaide.
It can happen at any time, more often than you think. Suddenly, through illness or accident, you could lose the capacity to manage your financial or personal affairs. What happens next? Who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Hey guys, sick of the setup when you go camping? Check out Austrac Campers. With an electric roof, electric awning, and electric step, camping is as easy as pushing a button.
Austrac Campers.
Use your outdoor area all year round with Louver House. They're the market leader in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
A Louver House roof will let in the perfect combination of airflow and sunlight as you need it. Plus, you can use it night and day with options like LED lighting. And then, when the weather turns, automatic rain sensing technology keeps everything dry and protected.
So do what Will and I have done. Go in and see the showroom for yourself. It's absolutely fantastic. They're a lovely group of people too, Rod and the team. It's a family business. Everything's made right here in SA from the highest quality materials, then distributed across Australia by this family-owned and operated business.
And make sure you tune in today from 6:30pm after Rowie and Timmy G for Driving with Dixon, proudly supported by Rob Webster at Louver House. Plus, you can call his team today to organise a free, no-obligation design, measure and quote. They'll even come to you. See the light with Louver House. Visit louverhouse.com.au.
Summer's here. Time to get your new Woolco pool blanket. Made from quality materials, a Woolco pool blanket will keep your pool clean, warm, and reduce evaporation. Uncover the savings now. Visit woolco.com.au.
I'm high!
The Excelsior Hotel has always felt like home. And for seniors, it's always been great value with 20% discount on selected bistro meals. Yep, 20% off. Feeding the whole family? Bring them all Saturday or Sunday for live acoustic music from 5pm. And kids eat free. Some conditions apply. The Excelsior Hotel feels like home, but better. You just know it's a Barossa Hotel.
Recapture your sense of adventure today in the award-winning RAV4 at the new Jarvis Toyota Brighton Road, Somerton Park. With class-leading safety as standard, enjoy improved fuel economy with RAV4's leading two-wheel drive or all-wheel drive hybrid electric models. RAV4 is in stock and ready to go. Come and experience the difference and take a test drive today at the new Jarvis Toyota, Brighton Road, Somerton Park.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
It's time to go around the courts with Sean Fuster on 5AA Breakfast.
Great to have him in the studio with us. You can watch along on the Facebook and YouTube live stream as we get set to discuss a case that is going to sound familiar to you, albeit this time it's from a new angle, the Rainer Cruz case. Sean Fuster, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Pembo. Well, look, from a new angle, sort of. I was saying yesterday to one of the other reporters, there are two types of appeals that run in this state. There's the appeal that is a brand new, never ventilated legal argument that has been lost in the weeds of a trial and pops up when everyone's thinking about it afterwards and needs to be pulled apart to decide whether or not there's a miscarriage of justice. And then there's the appeal which is, nah, I didn't like that. Give me another chance.
Let's have another go.
And this is very much, for both sides, that sort of appeal.
Well, now, this is the intriguing thing we were just talking about off air. Now, we covered extensively how upset the police were with the initial sentence of Rainer Cruz. It was a suspended sentence, not going to jail for assaulting a police officer. Now, they've appealed the sentence, but she has appealed it at this, and both these appeals are being held at the same time.
That's right. The DPP is on behalf of police and Constable Anthea Beck challenging the sentence, as you say, saying it was manifestly inadequate for Cruz to miss out on a prison sentence for scalping Constable Beck and for all the other scuffle activity that happened on Rundle Street that night during the pandemic lockdowns. Well, not quite lockdowns, but during the restricted period. At the same time, counsel for Rainer Cruz are saying that the conviction in the first place shouldn't have happened. They still maintain and insist, despite the verdict of a district court judge, that Constable Beck was not acting lawfully when she arrested Rainer Cruz.
Can I ask you, this is a procedural thing, but do you, and maybe it's unanswerable, do you think Rainer Cruz would have appealed if not for the opportunity to already have an appeal being heard?
Absolutely.
Okay, this was going to happen either way.
I think so, and the reason I think so is because of the nature of the argument that's being made. Both at trial and again now at this appeal, as I said, she's arguing that the arrest wasn't lawful. It's going from this very procedural place, this idea that if you're a police officer and you're arresting someone, you have to say, you are under arrest for the following reasons. You have to formally announce that. And absolutely, look, that's the way the law works. But there's also something called a dynamic unfolding situation. The idea, if everybody's punching on, you as an officer might need to just grab a hold and bring someone down to the ground, and you haven't formally said you're under arrest, but let's be honest, you, the person on the ground, understand what's going on. Cruz is arguing that there is no way that she could possibly have known that, and that there was no reasonable suspicion Constable Beck had to arrest her in the first place. And if this sounds like we're getting into the weeds of sov-sit style arguments...
Well, it does.
Yes, we are. Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing here.
Reading this, it just sounded like a total triumph by someone who doesn't recognise the authority of the court or the validity of the law.
Or someone who wants the law to be interpreted in a precise and exact way, and if it's not done in this precise, exact way, well, then I'm smarter than the rest of you, and I know how I can get out of it.
Isn't this why we have the courts?
Well, you'd think
because they often... You know, where there's a grey area, that's the whole point, isn't it? Which makes me... Surely a judge is just going to hear all that and go, well, okay, that might be what the law says, but I think any reasonable person in that situation would recognise.
Well, let's put it this way. It's rare for me to quote the Chief Justice, but that's the words of the Chief Justice yesterday about the dynamic and unfolding situation. It's exactly what he confronted counsel with, because an appeal's slightly different than any other court hearing. We know that court hearings aren't what we see in Law and Order where everyone's arguing back and forth. They're more staid. But an appeal hearing I kind of think of as like World Series cricket, or possibly even 2020. You get up and you start what you want to say as counsel, and the judges can and will interrupt you at will. They will ask you questions, they will barter with you, they will go back and forth with you, they'll do whatever they need to do to understand the issue fully. So you're actually watching an exchange, an ongoing, evolving exchange, and watching counsel having to improvise and redirect and figure themselves out because the judges are hitting them with things that they might not have expected. So when Chief Justice Kourakis said, what about a dynamic unfolding on situation, you saw counsel for Cruz going, well, my argument there would be, and sort of pivot move around.
To borrow that great line from the judge in the Bruce Lerman trial, is Rainer Jane Cruz the woman who, having escaped the lion's den, is making the mistake of going back to pick up a hat? Because she should be thanking her lucky stars that having scalped a pregnant police officer, who, to my understanding, is still not even back at work, so traumatised by what happened to her, and also, as you've said, Sean, still facing the prospect that the very, very lenient sentence she got, a fully suspended 3-year sentence, no jail time whatsoever, a piddling $1,000 bond, and just 100 hours of community service for scalping a woman who's there defending, upholding the law. She should be, I reckon, most people look at this and go, this woman should just go, wow, I've got away with this, I'll go quietly into the night.
One of the reasons I think that in this particular case it's galling is because Cruz missed out on a prison sentence because the district court said you have serious emotional issues. You've been through a lot in your life, and those things underpin your anti-vax, anti-COVID restriction, anti-mask beliefs. The court said, we're not going to come into those rulings, into those beliefs. We're going to say that we feel they're irrational and unsupported by the evidence. However, you genuinely have them. You need psychological assistance and counselling and emotional help in order to get over the underlying issues. So we're going to spare you jail so you can go do that. Instead, the response has been, well, thank you very much for giving me that space. I'm going to use it to get myself acquitted in the first place, rather than actually do what the court's given me the opportunity to do.
We've spent a bit of time focusing on it from Raina Cruz's perspective, but the police, the DPP's appeal, Sean, how do you go about mounting a legal case that, as you said at the start, largely amounts to, well, that seemed a bit soft, didn't it?
Yeah, and that's very difficult. I mean, the DPP only ever acts if it feels it has a reasonable chance of winning. And we know anecdotally and from the numbers that prosecution appeals seldom get up.
Well, it's a bit hard. You're asking judges to judge other judges, aren't you?
I mean, that's what you're always asking judges to do. But at the same
Yeah,
time...
but I just feel like there's a difference between an error in an element of law versus a sentence that was arrived at on the basis of evaluating everything you'd seen.
Well, in this case, they're arguing that there was an error of law in the sentencing.
Okay.
They're saying that the sentence itself started too low and that there was a discount afforded with no rationale given for that. The judge started at 4 years and then said, I sentenced 3 years, 8 months, but there was no reason for that 4-month drop. So they're saying there's clearly an error there. They're also arguing that there's a misapplication of the law, that because it was an attack upon an emergency services worker, that's prescribed, and therefore that achieves a higher standard, that too much leniency was given for the aforementioned emotional issues, etc., etc. So they're saying that the components that make up the rationale behind the sentence are in error. Because remember, judges are never wrong, they're only ever in error, and as a result, the sentence should be redone from the start. Not sent back to the same judge, but the 3 judges on the bench of the Court of Appeal should sentence Cruz on the next hearing.
Does the judge hearing the appeal have the ability to consider the conduct of Raina Cruz after the initial sentence?
No, they do not. That you can't do that. But what you can do and did do is they watched the body cam footage yesterday from Constable Beck's body cam. That was played in court and forensically gone through again. It was almost like a mini trial. At the same time, footage from one of Cruz's friends on their mobile phone was played as well. So the court got to see it from both directions.
Interesting.
Her lawyer,
Andrew Graham.
Andrew Robert Graham?
Indeed.
Yeah, he's been, well, being a lawyer, he's been in court before.
Indeed.
Hasn't he?
Indeed.
Not always appearing as a lawyer capacity, though.
Correct.
He's appeared as, well...
As a defendant.
As a defendant. And was found guilty.
He was indeed, and then the Legal Practitioners Conduct Commission and the court found that he could continue to practice under supervision from other lawyers. I'm not sure whether his supervision period has expired yet.
He offered a security guard $50 to look the other way after being caught with cocaine in the toilets of an Adelaide nightclub and got a bond for that.
That is what a court found, that's right.
Yeah. Well, it's got no bearing on this, but it's just sort of interesting.
Sean, there's just no one does it better, breaking down court cases and letting us ask every silly question that pops into our heads. It's great work you do, and we appreciate it. As always, that was fascinating. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Koshy's coming up in just a moment. He's going to enjoy it much less than you did, Sean. Time to check traffic. Thanks to Lupa House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space in a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. A few crashes to look out for this morning. One at Enfield, Main North Road near Green Junction Road. Another one at Hahndorf, Carvey Truck Mount Barker Road near Belhanna Road. And still clearing up that earlier smash at Coromandel East, Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road. Busy South Road, Acklow Valley Park. Slow Brighton Road, Glenelg East with a camera this morning, Frederick Road at Grange. Look for the RAA sign at over 400 independent RAA approved repairers across SA. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Don't let the sun set on your energy savings. With NRG Solar's cutting-edge batteries, your energy independence lasts long after sunset. Enjoy the freedom of solar, even when you're not home. Experience the future of energy. NRG Solar's new warehouse is fully stocked with wholesale solar and battery equipment. See it for yourself. NRG Solar, 1275 South Road, St Mary's, or call 1300 858 160. To explore a brighter, more sustainable tomorrow.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blowing up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. We're helping life flow.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
Introducing the Caliente by Beechwood Homes, a multi-level masterpiece of design, innovation and style. Inspired by the effortless glamour of Palm Springs in California, it's bathed in natural light through clever architectural design. At its heart, a stunning 6-metre island bench anchors a kitchen that's as beautiful as it is functional. This extraordinary display home will be ready to experience soon in Craigburn Farm. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Fresh seafood, factory direct prices, unbeatable value. I can only be talking about one place, and that is Samtas Seafoods. Treat your family and save money. Fresh garfish caught off Port Broughton from just $44.99 a kilo.
Was in at Samtas yesterday, bought some squid, had it last night.
Oh,
sensational.
yeah.
King George Whiting, they're in from Kangaroo Island as well. You can catch delicious fillets today. Unbeatable price from just $67.99 a kilo. And, as we know by now, Samtas has Adelaide's largest display of fresh ocean-caught seafood. Available 7 days a week. You have to see it to believe it.
And look, it's not long till Easter. Beat the rush and get in and do this. Adelaide's best deal, 4 kilos for $60. Tassie salmon cutlets and portions, barramundi, flathead and dory fillets, salt and pepper squid, and heaps more. Mix and match for just $60.
Attention entertainers, here's an exclusive special for 5AA listeners. Half-kilo packs of ready-to-eat smoked mussel meat, snapper or brim fillets, any two 500-gram packs for $15. Looks like a typo, but that's only till Sunday. It's incredible value.
What about that? Samtas Seafoods, 201 Richmond Road, Richmond. You can see me there, and Will. Factory direct prices, open 7 days. For top quality seafood, huge variety and the best value, it's always Samtas.
Hi, I'm Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. With Adelaide's reputation for major events and festivals, it's not just our city that's attracting attention, our property market is too. With a majority of our best buyers last year purchasing from interstate or internationally, this period offers homeowners a unique chance to showcase their property to a wider audience. Whether it's expats returning home or investors drawn to Adelaide's lifestyle and opportunities, at Toop and Toop, we have proven strategies to help you take full advantage of this moment. Our team works proactively to match the right buyers with the right homes, ensuring no opportunity is missed. So if you're thinking of selling, we'd love to help. Visit toop.com.au. Toop and Toop, Adelaide's trusted real estate advisors.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
And they could never tear us apart.
David Koch on 5AA Breakfast.
Six minutes to 8. Compare the Market Economic Director, Port Adelaide Football Club Supremo, David Koch, our guest. Morning to you, Koshy.
Good morning, team.
Great to have you on, Koshy. Look, we'll cut to the chase because it's been the talking point in the footy world and among a lot of the fans over the last couple of days. Was the succession plan a flawed idea, and will you revisit it?
No. It's not a flawed idea. and we won't be revisiting it at all. It is what it is. It is part of a plan that we developed over the pre-season. We've been working towards it for quite a while. Look, I think you've got to separate the performance on the weekend, which was terrible. It was embarrassing. It was disappointing, and better not flaming happen again this year. But football, we're not going to win every game in football. And every loss we have this year can't be linked to the succession plan. Link it to performance, and quite rightly criticise us for the performance last weekend, because it was completely unacceptable. The proof's going to be in the bounce back this weekend and from then on.
But is the problem with it, though, that it makes losses much less manageable, because it creates a perception that Ken is a lame duck and you've got Josh Carr waiting to get both hands on the operation and coach in his own right?
I know, but that is the outside opinion. It is not, absolutely not the inside opinion. And remember, these two blokes have worked together for Ken has been Josh's mentor for a number of years, has constantly said Josh has all the abilities for a senior coach of the future, and he hoped that senior coaching role would be at Port Adelaide. He has said that in the past. So both of them have worked together. They're terrific characters. They respect each other, and that is no different today than it has been over the last year or 18 months.
Do you concede at all, Koshy, that perhaps rather than actually taking the air out of any speculation around the future of the coach, it's playing out the opposite? Well,
you could argue that we've been completely open and honest with our members, and with the football community. That's the big criticism of a lot of clubs is, they keep things behind closed doors, they're not open about it, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's a club that has been open about it, and we get criticised for it as well. So,
I guess that's footy, isn't it?
So the focus, I know, and it's only round one. Yeah. Oh my God, there's 24 to go. But round two, we've got to bounce back, and for a number of reasons, because this weekend a bit of history is being made. Travis Boak breaking Russell Liebert's all-time record for games played for the Port Adelaide Football Club. This is a 155-year-old club. This record was set 45 years ago by Russell Liebert, and people said it would never be broken. And on the weekend, a bit of 45-year-old history is going to be broken by the most professional, remarkable footballer that you could ever meet in your life. So that's a real focus for us this weekend, and incredible credit to Travis Boak.
Been a wonderful servant. He's just a great champion of the football club and a worthy holder of a record like that, Koshy. Hey, just quickly before you go, we wanted to get your thoughts ahead of what was a bit of a surprise federal budget that's going to be held next week. A surprise insofar as I think a surprise to the federal government, who would have liked to be able to call an election and not have to go through the process. But what are you intrigued by? What are you going to be looking at closely when it gets handed down on Tuesday?
I'm really intrigued at Treasury's forecast for the next 12, 24 months. Remember, it was only a couple of weeks ago that it looked as though this budget would get us back into surplus, surprise, increase in income. Now, a continuing deficit, basically what they predicted in May, is going to come about because of the uncertainty of what's happening globally with tariffs and inflation, and interest rates. So also, it's going to be a blueprint for the economic credentials of the Labor government. I don't think there's going to be a lot of handouts, because they want to say to the Australian public, we're responsible economic managers, we're not going to buy your votes, we've got a greater responsibility to look after the economy and you for the future. And I certainly hope they do that and everyone recognises it.
Well, Dave, good luck for Saturday. And as you rightly said, it's worked out nicely that you have got the home game for Travis Boak's record-breaking match, and beating a name as esteemed and hallowed as R. Ebert is no mean feat. So good luck to Travis, and I'm sure that you guys will give him the recognition that he so richly deserves on the day. Thanks for joining us, mate.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
David Koch, Compare the Market Economic Director and President of the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Up-to-the-minute news for South Australia. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Sunny 33 for Adelaide today. Good morning with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Matthew Pantelis.
For the best price, quality and same-day service, trust Complete Windscreens. RAA approved, Main North Road, Prospect.
A hiccup for the Steelworks at Whyalla with a decision to shut down the blast furnace for at least 48 hours for essential maintenance. Administrators Corder Mentha have brought in BlueScope for consultation. They've advised repairs are needed to ensure the long-term viability of the furnace. Over $1 billion is owed to creditors when the steelworks were placed into administration. Premier Peter Malinauskas telling David and Will all are working to get the business back up and running properly.
We stand ready to make sure that the business is able to be stabilised. It can start to generate revenues. It can put itself in the best position for sale, and that will mean that over that hopefully 12-month period, but potentially most likely around an 18-month period, that we get the business in a position so that can be sold to other parties that we know there's already a lot of interest from.
There are concerns a ceasefire deal with Ukraine will only be agreed to on Russia's terms. President Vladimir Putin has, in a phone call with his US counterpart, vowed to stop targeting Ukraine's energy infrastructure for 30 days. Negotiations to put a permanent end to conflict are ongoing. Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles has told Today he's not convinced an agreement will be reached.
Any moves towards peace we have to welcome, but I think our principles stay the same here. Ukraine needs to be empowered in this process. Now, to be fair, America has involved Ukraine in what's been put to Russia, but it's really important that Russia is not rewarded. We do want to see peace, but it can't be peace on any terms.
World leaders are calling for a halt to violence in Gaza, where Israel has launched a series of strikes on the Palestinian enclave. More than 400 people believed to have been killed in the attack, which threatens to collapse a 2-month ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Parents living with ADHD are at an increased risk of developing perinatal depression and anxiety. A study's found 1 in 4 mums living with the disorder went on to be diagnosed with anxiety during the postpartum period. Gidget Foundation clinical psychologist Katie Peterson says tailored support could make a difference.
It's really important that we are offering services that are neuroaffirming. That means that they understand these different complexities for new parents who have ADHD in the perinatal period.
A man who's never held a driving licence will face court after leading police on a chase from Munopara to Salisbury Downs. Police found the park's stolen car at Paralawi but spiked it when the driver left. The car went to Salisbury Downs where the 29-year-old dumped the vehicle and ran off. Police arrested him minutes later, charging him with breach of bail, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving a car with unassigned plates, unlicensed, never held one, and the outstanding warrant. Police also appealing for witnesses to a car fire at Fulham at 11:30. A stolen Kia set alight on Fitch Road. 2 NASA astronauts stuck on the International Space Station since last June are almost home. Sunita Williams and Barry Wilmore were meant to be at the ISS for 10 days, but due to technical issues, that turned into 9 months. Former astronaut Katie Coleman says they're an hour or 2 away.
Well, they're about 30 minutes from the deorbit burn, which is the burn that is when you turn the spaceship around backwards and fire your engines into the wind, so to speak, into the direction of travel. It slows it down from like 17,500 miles an hour to 17,200 miles an hour.
Flash flooding has forced the evacuation of hundreds of homes in southern Spain. Heavy rain has been falling on the village of Campanilas. At least 20 rivers in the region are at risk of overflowing. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now, Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
And here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Matthew. Port Adelaide Chairman David Koch has defended the club's succession plan and insists they won't revisit it despite despite a horror round 1 loss against Collingwood. Speaking with David and Will, he says they're committed to the current path.
It's not a flawed idea, and we won't be revisiting it at all. It is what it is. It is part of a plan that we developed over the pre-season. We've been working towards it for quite a while.
Port Adelaide won't have to worry about Tigers forward Tom Lynch for this Saturday's game. His 1-game ban for a high bump on Carlton ruckman Tom De Koning has been upheld by the tribunal. Meantime, North Melbourne will encourage Jackson Archer to continue playing AFL the same way, even after receiving a 3-game ban for rough conduct. Well, South Australia's cricketers will recover today following yesterday's match against Queensland that finished in a draw. That was enough for Queensland to make the final, meaning the two sides will meet again in next week's final, which will again be played at Karen Rolton Oval. And because SA finished on top, a draw will be enough for the Sackers to claim a first Shield title in almost 30 years. Well, the Socceroos will train today ahead of tomorrow night's crucial World Cup qualifier against Indonesia. The Aussies currently sit in second spot in Group C, but must win in order to stay there. And Melbourne United can take out the NBL title tonight with a win over the Illawarra Hawks in Game 4 of their Championship Series. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking the roads around Adelaide this morning.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Morning there, got a smash at Enfield to look out for this morning. Always a busy intersection. This one's at Main North Road at Graham Junction Road. A few cars involved, so you super slow avoid if you can. Carvey truck at Harndorf, Mount Barker Road near Balhanna Road. And still clearing up an early 2-car smash at Coromandel East Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road. Early morning camera, Beavis Rating Farm too. Need a facelift for your business? Quick Copy is giving away $5,000 of signage to 5 lucky businesses. Enter now at wemakeppossible.com.au. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny today, 33, a shower or two tomorrow, 29, cloud clearing Friday, 28, and a sunny weekend, temperatures around 30. Right now it's 20 degrees. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Here's an important air conditioning tip from Morford Air. Never give your teenagers control over the aircon remote. Your energy bills could go through the roof. Instead, for summer, set it around 21 degrees. It's the most energy efficient temperature. And if you turn it on early, before the teens are out of bed, your system will have less work to do, keeping your home cool all day. When it's too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air. morfordair.com.au.
Morford Air. Ignition for Men. Adelaide's home of impeccable class and style offer a range of suits by leading Italian brands, including tailor-made suits using the finest Italian fabrics from Zegna, Canali, Zignoni, Holland and Sherry, along with many more. Special occasions or business, stand out in a tailor-made suit by Ignition for Men. Best fit, best brands. Call into 54 Paynham Road, Stepney, or visit ignitionformen.com.au.
It's Derringer's Music biggest sale ever, and it's on right now. You can save up to 80%. That's right, 80%.
But stock is limited, so don't wait. Crank up the volume because Derringer's Music is turning up the heat with its biggest sale ever.
Whether you're a beginner, a pro, or somewhere in between, now's the time to grab unbeatable deals across the Forestville store only. You can save on guitars, acoustic and electric, save on drums and accessories, save on pro audio equipment, microphones, mixers, speakers, DJ gear, recording and more.
But remember, stock is limited, so hurry into Derringer's Music, biggest sale ever, on right now. Only at Derringer's Forestville, derringers.com.au.
Gone are the days of bulky solar panels. NRG Solar is ushering in a new era of sleek, efficient solar technology. With just a few panels, harness the power of the sun like never before. The equation is simple. More efficiency, more savings. Join the revolution with NRG Solar. Discover simplicity at 1275 South Road St Mary's or online at nrgsolar.com.au. NRG Solar, for a brighter, more sustainable tomorrow.
The news and issues that matter to South Australia. Always Adelaide. This is 5AA.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings. 5AA Breakfast.
9 minutes after 8. I think psychologically, South Australians feel as though the hot weather is the worst of it's behind us, and so too are the total fire ban days. But that's not the case. Today is a total fire ban day for the Mount Lofty Ranges and the lower southeast.
It's so dry.
Extreme fire danger, 33 degrees. Conditions that have got the CFS on high alert today, but
dry as a bone.
That's right. So be careful. Don't take any risks. We started the program this morning talking about conspiracy theories in South Australia, mysteries, unsolved mysteries, and such. They might be local, they might be international, and we were inspired by the expected release and fulfilment of a Trump policy regarding the JFK files. We've learnt some 80,000 pages worth of evidence and investigation into the assassination of JFK. We're still awaiting. The expectation would be coming out at some point over the course of the day here in Australia, Tuesday in the United States. And in anticipation of that, we're delighted to have John Shaw, the director of the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute at Southern Illinois University, join us on 5AA Breakfast. John Shaw, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, John, you've devoted much of your professional life to investigating this enduring mystery. What are your hopes and expectations out of the release of the files?
Well, I hate to be a skeptic, but I think that I think there's going to be maybe less than people are hoping or expecting. I mean, big picture, there are something in the order of 6 million pages of documents related to the Kennedy assassination. 99% have already been released. So there's a small sliver of documents that still need to be released. Trump, somewhat impetuously, it seems, was at the Kennedy Center, or Performing Arts Center yesterday, and said, we're going to release all the rest of the documents unredacted. I would not be totally surprised if the archivists and the people who handle these records heard about this when Trump spoke it. I get no indication that there's been advanced planning or preparation. I think it's kind of throwing stuff against the wall. I think it was an ad hoc comment. So I think people are scrambling to try to fulfill the demand by the chief executive. But I mean, so most of the documents are out there, and I don't think it's going to fundamentally change the narrative. I mean, I think it does seem that Lee Harvey Oswald, pulled the trigger that killed President Kennedy in November 22nd, 1963. There are continuing questions about whether Oswald was acting at the behest of anyone, in concert with anyone, whether it's the underworld or the Soviets or whatever. I mean, to come to your point, I think the one bit of information that yet may come out are some CIA cables that apparently discuss what Oswald was doing in Mexico City weeks before the assassination, in which apparently he made some calls to the Soviet and Cuban embassies. And so the focus is, what is in the CIA materials that possibly could shed light on what Oswald had to say to either the Soviets or the Cubans.
Well, that might go some ways to answering this question then. What can we infer from the reason why these documents have been withheld to this point? You say 99% of them have been released. Have these been held onto because they might detail how intelligence was gathered? They might reveal something about, perhaps not germane to the case, but germane to the intelligence gathering capabilities of the CIA?
I think that's exactly right. I think this is the one area where, presumably and hopefully, the CIA has updated some of its procedures in the last 67 years. But there still is, there are still a few people alive, who were part of that, who maybe worked for the CIA as very, very junior officers back then. I think there's just a reticence to kind of put all your cards on the table about how the intelligence operated back then. And so I think that's the one area there's been some reticence to disclose information. There's another category that's related to some litigation that I'm not deeply familiar with, but it pertains to tax records that have been held under seal based on privacy laws, et cetera. So, but again, the sort of the big picture is, Kennedy's assassination is like one of these, almost Shakespearean moments in American life when you have this, charismatic young man at the top of his game, beautiful wife, intelligent, the world at his fingertips, and then in just seconds, all that is ended by a very, very kind of unlikely person, a 24-year-old struggling drifter. And so just the kind of discordance between the majesty of Kennedy and kind of the griminess of Lee Harvey Oswald has just made this drama so gripping, and it continues to transfix the country and the world, really.
John, how do you think Kennedy's descendants feel about the release? From memory, when it was first flagged by Donald Trump, weren't there some concerns raised that the whole thing is sort of a continuation of the circus element surrounding his death?
I think there's a fissure in the family. Caroline Kennedy, who I know you know, she was our ambassador to Australia until recently, tends to be a much more private person. I have gotten the sense that she has been, reluctant to just get involved in this conspiracy drama. Her cousin, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's now a major cabinet secretary in the United States, has been much more willing to traffic in the world of conspiracy theories and talk about it publicly. Caroline Kennedy has taken some not too subtle shots at her cousin for sort of trafficking in assassination theories and conspiracies. So there's a rift in the family. I think Caroline Kennedy tends to be more private, discreet, and doesn't want to get caught, as you put it, in the circus. I think her cousin RFK Jr. is more willing to be part of the circus.
Mm-hmm. Feels like we're living in an era of peak conspiracy theory at the moment. You go online and there's communities full of people that can believe anything and espouse all sorts of theories, and it just seems harder than ever to sort of try and disseminate fact and truth. What do you think the legacy will be if these documents come out and one of the longest and most celebrated mysteries is solved, and in fact it was just the plain it was the plain truth that we thought it was all along? Will it have any, do you think, enduring legacy for conspiracy theories generally?
Conspiracy theories die hard, and I am sure that even if these documents come out and there's absolutely nothing to dispute the central thesis, there are going to be many people for many decades saying, okay, the full truth hasn't come out, et cetera, et cetera. So, the Kennedy assassination, I mean, it's both, a national tragedy and this, murder mystery that, seems insolvable. So the dispute is going to continue. It's going to rage on. And people like Donald Trump, who spent his career kind of trafficking in conspiracy theories, are not going to stop. I mean, this sort of discussion of what really happened is not going to end when every single document is released. The debate and the discussion is going to continue.
Mm. John, it's been fascinating talking to you, mate. Before we let you go, you spent a bit of time down under, didn't you? You studied in Sydney.
I did. I won a Rotary Scholarship. This was back in an earlier century, the 1980s. I was there on a Rotary Scholarship, studied Australian history, love your country. I actually wrote a thesis on the Whitlam years in Australia.
Oh, really?
So really, yeah, it was a fascinating experience. My wife and I have been back a few times. I love Australia.
There's a few left-wingers in Australia talking about conspiracy theories who think the CIA was behind the Whitlam dismissal.
Pine Gap, all that. I remember that. I read about that back in the day.
Oh, mate. Well, if ever you're back in town, look us up. We'll take you out for some quality red wine here in Adelaide.
That would be delightful. Thank you so much. It was really fun.
That was awesome.
Excellent.
Thanks for joining us,
John.
That was just terrific.
Thank you.
Wasn't
Bye-bye.
that good?
That was terrific.
That was John Shaw, for the director of the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute at the
Thanks,
Southern
John.
Illinois University. There he is.
That was Lucy in the background saying thanks.
No, that
or
was
Jono. We push breaking at 8 back for that. Shall we do a quick breaking at 8?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is a good one. Now, this is going to be excellent news. We're hearing rumours that later today the Intercontinental is going to confirm that it is planning a brand new 5-star hotel in the Barossa Valley.
Oh.
And it's going to be a big one, hopefully not shaped like a slug. I don't think it's going to be shaped like a slug. It's going to be in Lyndoch, the Intercontinental Barossa Resort, a 150-room 5-star hotel, which, frankly, this is the shot in the arm that the Barossa needs.
It needs it.
It has not got enough high-end accommodation. I'd say it hasn't got enough accommodation full stop. It's got a lot of beautiful B&Bs and so forth. But it's been a while since a big international hotel has committed to doing a project of this magnitude in the Barossa. And obviously, big part of this is fueled by Gather Round and the public investment that has been put into that. Clearly, SA and its many wonderful regions are now well and truly on the radar for interstate travellers. If we're going to bring all these people over, we've got to put them somewhere. But it's going to be right near Gather Round's Barossa Park, and you'd have to say that it will bolster the argument for Gather Round being not a sort of once every sort of 4 years you have to go cap in hand to the AFL. Like, if we're going to make the case that we think Gather Round should be a permanent fixture, we need better infrastructure like this in the regions where it's going to be played. So apparently later this morning, some sort of an announcement will be made. But
fantastic news.
Really good.
Overdue.
Yeah.
That the one thing holding it back from being an international destination is a lack of top-end accommodation.
Yep. And I think the Barossa probably could do with a little bit of a shake-up. I reckon over the last 15 years, there's been more innovative stuff happening in the Adelaide Hills and McLaren Vale in particular.
Great accommodation, McLaren Vale.
Yeah. Yep, there's new stuff going in. McLaren Vale itself, the Cube has become a magnet for visitors, not just to Darrenberg, but to all the other wineries. So this is, I reckon, a great thing for the Barossa.
20 minutes after 8, we're going to check traffic and take a quick break. Luba House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. Still battling through a couple of smashes this morning. One at Enfield, Main North Road near Grand Junction Road, Carvey Truck at Harndorf, Mount Barker Road near Bohanna Road, and still clearing up that earlier smash at Coromandel East, Ackland Hill Road near Weymouth Road. Busy South Road, Clovelly Park, slow Brighton Road, Glenelg East with the Camera Days Road, Ferryton Park. The new Isuzu MUX SUV with bold lines and performance to match. It's their best SUV ever. Book a test drive at your local Isuzu retailer today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show. Rowie and Timmy G.
Post-game, there's no way I would have waited for Dan Houston to finish his media interview so that I could shake his hand. There's no way.
Well, he's the enemy now.
He's absolutely the enemy. He left us by his choice.
That's it. He's the
and
enemy.
you know what? I'm off that field. I'm down the race.
The 5AA Sports Show.
I've been embarrassed and humiliated by 91 points.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Get a Toyota forklift.
Deliver more with Toyota, the world's #1 forklift brand. Choose from a great range including pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts, right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au.
Get a Toyota forklift.
A life-changing win could be yours. The Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery is back, and it's summertime in Somerton Park. You could win the $3.5 million grand prize, featuring a fully furnished Scott Salisbury home that ticks all the boxes and includes $500,000. Get your tickets now at homelottery.com.au. Life-changing prizes, life-changing impact. homelottery.com.au. Licence M14673.
Use your outdoor area all year round with Luva House. They're the market leader in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
A Luva House roof will let in the perfect combination of airflow and sunlight as you need it, plus you can use it night and day with options like LED lighting. And then when the weather turns, automatic rain sensing technology keeps everything dry and protected.
So do what Will and I did. Go and visit the showroom for yourself. It's absolutely fantastic. They make everything right here in SA from the highest quality materials, and then it's all distributed across Australia by this wonderful family-owned and operated business.
Make sure you tune in today from 6:30 p.m. too. That's after Rowie and Timmy G, because you'll catch Driving with Dixon. That's proudly supported by Rod Webster at Luva House. Plus, you can call his team to organise a free no-obligation design, measure and quote. They'll even come to you. See the light with Luva House. Visit luvahouse.com.au.
Ignition for Men. Adelaide's home of impeccable class and style offer a range of suits by leading Italian brands, including tailor-made wedding packages for the groom and groomsmen. Order 3 tailor-made suits and pay just $799 for each. Order 4 or more for just $749 per suit. Phenomenal value for a quality tailor-made suit. See Ignition for Men for tailor-made wedding packages. 54 Paynham Road, Stepney. ignitionformen.com.au. T's and C's apply.
Hi, Daniel Tarley here, General Manager of Home. That's HAUME. Sometimes renovating an older home built before the 90s is just not worth the hassle, time or the cost. Instead, we buy your home as it is and give you as much time as you need to find your new dream home. We don't charge fees, there's no advertising costs or commissions. We just make the process of selling your home easy. Look out for a letter from us in your mailbox or visit home.com.au. That's haume.com.au.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
24 minutes after 8, just looking at some live vision right now of Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams in a capsule about to land in the ocean. It looks like they're 9...
Wow, look at that.
Their couple of day the journey ended up being 9 months.
You're coming in too fast.
They're now slowing up, and they're going to have splashdown off the coast of Florida whilst we're speaking, I imagine.
Here they go.
It's remarkable how normalised transferring things to and from space has become.
Is that like the nose cone that they're in? Is that the bit that comes off the front of the rocket?
There
they go, bobbing around. It's got 2 parachutes dangling off it.
Yeah, and they're going to come out.
Is
He's
this like,
delighted to be back on terra firma.
Are we breaching any laws by doing this? Like when we called the penalty shootout versus Peru?
No, I don't think NASA has sold the rights to this one. I think I think you can call all the action live.
Optus Live.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Fox Sports has.
Is that the only thing that the rights haven't been sold to?
Let's check in with Jade Robrin. She's out at the scene of an incident we were alerted to in the early hours of this morning. It was described to us at the time as being something of a street fight. Jade, what have you learned?
Yes, good morning. I'm on Robsart Street in Parkside, where that incident took place around 9:45 last night, and witnesses are still describing it as a street brawl. Now, police mentioned the incident to us this morning, and they said they were still working on the report. Well, at the scene today and speaking to witnesses, they've told me that a group of women arrived in a car and started calling out for a gentleman who lives in a housing trust block of units here on this street. Now, I'm led to believe the man is a father of a 9-month-old baby, and he had the baby with him in the apartment at the time, and that the mother arrived with a group of friends and started yelling out for her baby. Now, an argument broke out on the street. I believe the gentleman came downstairs on the street, and apparently it was very loud and very confronting for the neighbours around here, and it ended up resulting in a woman stabbing the man. Now, it's believed he doesn't have life-threatening injuries and he will be okay. Crime scene investigators were quick to the scene, trying to piece together what exactly has happened. A woman was seen being spoken to police in the back of a paddy wagon. Police will release more details when they do come to hand, though, guys, but it is certainly still very much a developing story here.
Do you know, Jade, where was the poor baby while all this was unfolding?
That I cannot tell you at this point in time, and witnesses didn't see the baby, so I'm hoping that someone was looking after the baby up in the apartment. But yeah, Dave, the information right now is still very, very light on, and that one I can't answer, but hopefully everybody's hoping that the baby is safe and sound with somebody responsible.
Crikey. What a fiasco.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that,
Thanks,
Jade. We've been talking conspiracy theories and mysteries over the course of the morning, and Dave in South Brighton's called in with a South Australian mystery. Morning to you, Dave.
Morning, guys. You were talking about, obviously, the Beaumonts, and then someone mentioned the family killings, and, that they're all sort of well-spoken of things. But they did a public inquiry a few years ago. I believe it was called the Mulligan Inquiry, which we all paid for because it's a government inquiry. So obviously we've all paid for it. But the results have been locked away for 80 years. Why? Did someone find JFK's killer as well? Or have we got some other weird stuff? Like, why is that hidden away for 80 years?
It's a good question.
Let's have a look at it and see why. We've got missing Beaumont kids, we've got family killings, we've got other weird things that have happened in the state. We've got an inquiry that we've all paid for, and we're not seeing the results.
Yeah, good point, Dave.
We're generally pretty good in Australia with declassifying stuff. So what, federal cabinet documents every 20 years?
20 years or 25?
25 years get declassified.
Yeah.
And there's generally some sort of limitation on it, but it's a reasonable question to ask, Dave. Splashdown. The astronauts that have come down with the assistance of SpaceX have just landed in the ocean off of Florida. That means Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, who were stranded in space for 9 months, are back home safe and sound. We've got live pictures on the Facebook and YouTube live stream as we speak. There's something incredibly low-tech all of a sudden, seeing a capsule land with the assistance of parachutes in an era now where we're seeing the booster segments of SpaceX rockets land themselves on platforms at sea for reusability. It's funny seeing something that more looks like what we associate with the NASA landings of the 70s and the 80s out of the ocean with just the assistance of parachutes. No other form of onboard propulsion. But they're back. The capsule they're in is upright. There were some great images of them in and locked in their seats and all in the sort of almost like the brace position you'd been in on a flight waiting to land. It must be a hell of a thing.
Did they return their tray tables to the upright position, do you think?
Well, someone would have come around and given them a stern talking to if they
exactly,
didn't. Is your chair reclined?
Yeah.
Butch?
Yeah.
I don't care how long you've been in 0G.
Turn your iPad off.
But they're back. Remarkable. Must be one hell of a shock coming back from being in zero gravity for 9 months and then landing back on Earth. The live pictures will continue on our live stream during 5AA News, which is coming up.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Sunny and 33 for Adelaide today with the 8:30 news. Good morning, I'm Matthew Pantelis.
Chipped windscreen. RAA approved repairer Complete Windscreens repairs it from just $99. Find the big red koala.
Stranded astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have just splashed down in Florida after spending 9 months in space. They were sent on an 8-day mission last June, but technical issues resulted in their stay on the International Space Station being extended. Fellow astronaut Katie Coleman believes the pair would be feeling very mixed emotions after their long stay in space.
Even though it was time to leave, I'm sure that it was hard to leave the space station. And I mean, it's fun, and you're floating around. There's Butch. Always, it's great. There's such good work to do. It's not a rescue mission. It's just a normal return. And at the same time, I know they're going to be really happy to see their families.
Australia says Russia must not be rewarded after agreeing to limit attacks on Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin held a phone conversation with his US counterpart Donald Trump. Mr. Putin has ordered his troops not to target Ukraine's energy infrastructure for the next month. But Deputy Prime Minister Richard Marles says any ceasefire must go much further.
We do want to see peace, but it can't be peace on any terms. At the end of the day, Russia are the aggressors here. Russia are the ones who have done wrong, and we need to be standing with Ukraine.
Meantime, the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has collapsed. Palestinian officials say more than 300 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. Israeli Foreign Ministry spokesman Oren Marmerstein says they launched the strikes because Hamas repeatedly refused the proposal to extend the ceasefire and release more hostages.
Hamas rejected two concrete mediation proposals presented by the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Israel agreed to these mediation proposals. From this point forward, Israel will act against Hamas with increasing military intensity.
2 bulk water collection points in the Mount Lofty Ranges will be closed today due to forecast extreme fire danger conditions. The state government opened 4 temporary emergency water collection points to provide water for properties not connected to mains water. The collection points at Woodside and McLaren Vale will be closed today. They'll reopen at 1 p.m. tomorrow. Water collection points at Elizabeth Park and Sander Grove will remain open. Shopping online is increasing across the country with cost of living behind a push to find cheaper items. Across South Australia, 8 in 10 households shopped online, with residents in the CBD, Mount Gambier and Craigmore amongst the state's biggest spenders. Gary Starr from Australia Post says the way we shop is changing.
2024 saw e-commerce at an all-time high, but financial pressures remain a concern for Australians. The average basket size dropped to $95, the lowest in a decade. Shoppers are switching brands to save money, spending strategically across an average of 16 different retailers.
Experts say a rise in the illegal cigarette trade is affecting tax revenue. Treasury documents show the tobacco excise has dropped 42%, falling short of forecast. Duty on tobacco has brought in about $8.8 billion. Russia's deadly synthetic opioids have been found in Australian wastewater for the first time and at higher levels levels than in the United States. News Corp has described nitazene as a zombie-style drug and potentially stronger than fentanyl. The University of Queensland study comes after nitazene was found at a Brisbane pill testing site in November. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
To make room for renovations, Agostino Mitsubishi are having a stock clearance sale on now, Nailsworth and Mawson Lakes.
And Tom Wren, all the focus on Port Adelaide at the moment.
It is, isn't it? And it has been all week, Matty, until they play their next game, you'd suspect. Port Adelaide chairman David Koch is calling for calm following Saturday night's round 1 loss to Collingwood. The result has seen many criticise the club's succession plan, with some calling for it to happen now. Koch telling David and Will that's a knee-jerk reaction.
I think you've got to separate the performance on the weekend, which was terrible. It was embarrassing. It was disappointing, and better not flaming happen again this year. But football, we're not going to win every game in football. And every loss we have this year can't be linked to the succession plan.
AFL great James Hird, meantime, has lauded Collingwood's decision to start Scott Pendlebury as the sub in round 1. Hird telling Footy Classified the Magpies are ahead of the game.
The way they manipulate their players or use their players. Scott Pendlebury, one of the greatest players that played the game. Do we really need him playing his best football in round 1, or get him for the finals when you want him to play his best football? Maturity of this man to do it and do it well came on, had an impact. And I think it's great to man management by the Collingwood Football Club.
And South Australia's Sheffield Shield match against Queensland has finished in a draw. Jason Sanger fine-tuning very nicely ahead of next week's final with an unbeaten 103. SA will again host Queensland in the Shield final, which begins next Wednesday. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking the roads around Adelaide.
Selling your commercial property for top dollar is made easier with the team at RWC Adelaide. Visit rwcadelaide.com.
Bit of a jungle out there this morning. A heap of crashes about. One at Elizabeth Main North Road near Blacktop Road. Another one at Enfield Main North Road near Grand Junction Road with solid delays. And Paradise Lights out of action on Lower North East Road near Darley Road. Delays inbound due that are foul. Avoid it if you can. Canberra 2 May Terrace at Lockleys. Look for the RAA sign at over 400 independent RAA approved repairers across SA. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA's forecast.
Switch and save on service and repairs. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny today and 33, a shower or two tomorrow 29, cloud clearing Friday 28, and a sunny weekend, temps around 30, right now 20 degrees. 5AA, always Adelaide.
Frankie said she's a fan of impersonation. Thank you very much. But not of people impersonating Australia Post. That's why we've made all delivery updates available on the AusPost app, so she'll know they're from us, and us alone. You ask, we deliver at Australia Post.
Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA, always Adelaide.
The most frustrating thing about having your car repaired after a collision can be the wait. Sometimes months. At Premier Panel Services, the wait is one thing you won't have to worry about. We've expanded our workshop and our highly skilled team. It means we're better equipped to deliver an outstanding outcome for you and your car. RAA and MTA approved, Premier Panel Services work with most insurance companies. So ask for Premier Panel Services and get back on the road sooner.
Next time you pour Fluorio milk into your coffee or tea, over your cereal or in your smoothie, you're closer to being an SA dairy farmer than you think. 100% of Fluorio Co milk comes from our state's best dairy farmers and their families. So when you buy any Fluorio milk product, you become part of that big family too, doing your bit to support our farming families. Look for the local in your supermarket. Fluorio Milk Company. We're for SA dairy farmers.
Right Price, Adelaide's best in heating and cooling, has risen to new heights. Literally, Right Price are now your roofing people too. Same exceptional service, value and quality. From total roof replacement, including tiled roof installation, to tile roof repairs, cleaning and painting. And for peace of mind, a rock solid quote. So the only surprise you'll get is how magnificent your roof and home looks. Do it right. Visit rightpriceroofing.com.au.
You can get your roof right at Right Price.
Build like a brick house. Basic Trailers make quality trailers of all sizes here in Adelaide. Made with Australian steel, you get 12 months warranty and factory direct pricing across SA. Visit basictrailers.com.au. Basic Trailers. Basically better.
No one loves a clean truck more than Ray Pepper. Ray even launched his own truck washers and developed his own truck strength cleaning products.
Now, I actually used some of this on my car the other day, and I can attest to how good it is. Now you can get your hands on the whole range of SA-made Pepper's truck strength cleaning products. And as I said, for your car, your caravan, boat at home, you don't need to drive some massive Mack truck to use Ray's stuff. It's all made right here in Adelaide. There's cleaners and protectants for inside, detergents, waxes and polishers for the exterior, wonderful air freshener, glass cleaners, tyre shiners, as well as sponges, cloths and brooms.
Make it shine like never before, because everything goes better with a bit of Pepper. Shop online and check out the Pepper Starter Pack with a bit of everything for just $69.90. Go to peppersaustralia.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Bit of 2001 Space Odyssey to bring us out of the break. If you've been watching along, Brooklyn's done a great job on the Facebook and YouTube live stream. Live pictures of Butch Wilmore, Sonny Williams and some of the astronauts returning back to Earth on that Dragon capsule. The access is remarkable. We just had a shot from inside the capsule back out over the ocean to the boats that are currently dusting it down, and there's the shot that we're looking at. A lot of boats, a lot of people there. They haven't opened the hatch yet. They've got to do all sorts of checks and things so forth. But big story. Remarkable to watch it all unfold.
Check it out on the live stream.
That's right. You can check it out on the live stream. And the Police Commissioner, who's in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Commissioner, good morning to you.
Morning, Will. Morning, David.
For one moment, Commissioner, I thought that was new theme music heralding your arrival in the studio.
Yeah, probably fitting, I think.
Now, Commissioner, we spent a lot of time this week talking to the Premier and people in the building industry, and also, more importantly, a lot of our listeners about the State of the State speech that Peter Malinauskas gave the other night, talking about these new urban growth areas down Victor, up in Roseworthy. How do you feel as Commissioner when you hear these conversations unfolding? Because often the infrastructure discussion focuses on where are the water pipes, where's the train, but what does it mean for you guys at SAPOL?
It's something that we have been talking to the government about, and this is not a conversation that's popped up in the last couple of months. We've been doing the forecasting in relation to what population growth looks like, where we can expect to see that growth, what does that mean for the location of our current police stations, where do we forecast we're going to have patrols working from into the future, and it is out north, as everyone would expect. It is also down south, Mount Barker. There's significant growth right across the outer metropolitan area and inner rural. So, we're having those conversations about proper placement of police stations, and obviously that also means, the size of the police service as well. As the population grows, we have to grow proportionally so we can provide the same level of service.
Because it sometimes feels like I've spent so much time in Aldinga. I love the place. Go down there, at least once a fortnight, and that has grown so much in 20 years. But it doesn't feel like the police presence has grown, and I've got to say, Aldinga Police do a terrific job. But it doesn't feel like the station's expanded as the suburb has.
Not at all. And I think there's always going to be a lag. Like we will see growth in our communities, and we would follow that growth. But Aldinga's a good example of that. Like the community there has really expanded, and we are having conversations about what the future policing needs are for that location. But it's also about even rural country locations. Our police stations in the country are where they were built 100 years ago, and that was based on the length of time it took to ride a horse from one town to another. And populations within these small communities have changed. Some are growing, some are shrinking quite significantly, and we need to assess, do we still need a police station in that location? Can we better service the community by putting our police together in a larger facility?
The Premier says he wants 2 million people by 2031. The proportion of sworn officers for every 100,000 people in South Australia has fallen every year since 2018-19.
Yep.
We had a story earlier this week we covered about the Property Council modelling critical workers in South Australia. And police was one of the people they said. They said police officers we're the second most unaffordable jurisdiction in Australia. So we've got a goal for more population. We've got plans for huge housing developments. We have a pitch, though, to potential police officers that's surely harder to make than it has been in the past. Is it an impossible task trying to keep the levels we've had per 100,000 people at what they've had historically? And do we need to look at different solutions, perhaps?
Well, the number I look at is the number of police staff, so not police officers, because we've done things in a traditional way for a very long time, decades, and we've had police officers undertaking roles that don't necessarily require the skills and training that we provide them at the academy. We can employ qualified civilians in certain roles to undertake those duties. So rather than try and recruit police, my goal is to change the mix of our workforce, make sure that we've got police officers doing police work, and they're supported by specialist civilians who can undertake those things that don't require police authorities or skills. That makes it easier for us to employ people. As for employer being the issue of being able to afford to purchase a home in South Australia, I don't think that's an issue unique to policing. That's something that anyone stepping into the housing market would be facing regardless of their vocation.
But it does make the pitch harder.
Only if you're recruiting from out of the state. And we don't see a massive influx of people coming from other policing jurisdictions. We get a trickle, but most of our recruiting, the vast majority of people joining SAPOL, come from the South Australian community. So we'll continue to focus on that. And as a pitch to anyone thinking about policing, it is a really well-paid job. We pay you from the day you join, so we pay you to train. And we certainly, I think we are an employer of choice in South Australia, and it's a great job.
Is technology possibly to the benefit of police? Are there better tools that are available now? Are there things you can say to the Treasurer, who happens to be the police minister as well at the moment, hey, maybe it's just not about people anymore. Maybe it's about equipment.
It's multifaceted. It's about the right equipment, exploiting the technology opportunities that exist, streamlining the work. Technology will make it easier for people to access police services. We've been funded to create what we're calling the digital police station. So some of these things that you have to go to a police station for, you'll be able to do online in the next 18 months or so. Like reporting a vehicle collision. Instead of having to go to a police station, you can just jump on your computer and do it. That's just one example. So yeah, technology is a major factor for us in making sure that we're not spending time doing things that can be done a better way.
Commissioner, without getting into the specifics of this terrible alleged murder in North Adelaide, can I ask you about the role of mental health in policing these days? Because clearly there is a mental health component to this, and the circumstances behind what has or hasn't happened are all now going to be the purview of the ongoing police investigation and will be a matter for the courts. But do you feel like, as a community, is too much of the heavy lifting in looking after what are genuine mental health challenges, is too much of that becoming a law and order problem? Whereas perhaps in the past we were better at looking after people, better at monitoring people and caring for people who have intractable mental health challenges?
Excuse me. Mental health does manifest as a law and order issue a lot of the time. Police have a role to play in responding to incidents in the community, and often those incidents stem from someone who's experiencing a mental health episode or has a mental illness. They're often agitated, aggressive, displaying violent behaviours, self-harming or threatening to self-harm. So there's a role for police to sort of quell the situation and ensure everyone's safe. It's about what happens after that, and we spend an inordinate amount of time conveying people to hospitals for mental health assessments and guarding people in hospital because they're there under a mental health issue. And it takes a lot of our time from our patrols. We do have a trial in place. We call it the mental health co-responder model, where we have a mental health clinician and a police officer working together. So when we can identify a tasking as a mental health tasking, we're sending that patrol, which means the person that's being attended to gets the right sort of treatment from the very beginning, rather than a law enforcement response, which is often handcuffs, paddy wagon, hospital. We can often divert that person away from the hospital system, just make sure they've got their meds right. Do they have a care provider that we can get them back to? So it is saving time for patrols, but it's still in trial.
Does it feel like it's become, because in your loath to guess how many decades you've been a police officer for, but you've been a copper for a while.
4 decades and 3 years.
Yeah, okay. So in your 43 years in the force, does it feel like it's a bigger part of policing now than it was when you started?
Definitely a bigger piece. But there's more awareness about mental health, so people are being diagnosed with mental health conditions that probably never got picked up before. And when I started, I think there was more care provided in facilities rather than in community. So we have more people in community who are being looked after who have mental health issues. So that does impact on policing.
Yeah. Great having you in, Commissioner. We'll do it all again soon. Thanks for joining us.
Well, next we go from the Police Commissioner to a crook, Aaron Crook, who completed a remarkable feat, a 620-kilometre ultramarathon through the Arctic. It's a race during which you have to carry your own supplies, sleeping, food, you name it. He won it. He's from Adelaide, Aaron Crook. He's going to be our guest on the other side of this break. Traffic first, thanks to Ultramarathon House, the leaders in transforming your outdoor space into a great entertainment area with an opening and closing roof.
Thanks, Will. She is a real jungle out there this morning. Heaps of crashes about. One at Elizabeth, Main North Road near Blacktop Road with heavy delays. Also chockers with another smash at Enfield, Main North Road near Grand Junction Road. And Paradise Lights on the blink at the moment. Lower North East Road near Darling Road. Delays inbound are simply awful. Avoid it if you can. Busy South Road, Clovelly Park with a Camera Gorge Road at Athelston. The Chemist Warehouse Sports Nutrition half price sale is on now. Shop in-store or online for half price off your favourite brands. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Ends March 26th. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Transform your outdoor space and turn it into a great year-round entertainment area with an opening and closing roof from Louver House. A Louver House roof will let in the perfect combination of airflow and sunlight, so you can entertain no matter the weather. Best of all, they're manufactured right here in SA with rain sensors and options like LED lighting. Find out more with a free design measure and quote. See the light with Louver House. louverhouse.com.au.
Hi, Brett Ebert here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. We've been doing deals on a huge range of 2024 plate Mazdas, and we've just received truckloads more of them, all priced to clear. These drive-away deals on new Mazdas include free 12 months rego, free stamp duty, and accessory packs worth $500. Yep, absolutely free. All exclusive to Mawson Lakes Mazda. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
We know you are concerned about SA's public hospital capacity and how long it can take to see a doctor. So are we. We need enough doctors to provide the safe, quality care you deserve. There are solutions for South Australia, and it's not rocket science. Visit safermedicalstaffing.com.au and sign the petition to support our 3-point plan for enough doctors for South Australia. Authorised by Dr. David Koch, South Australian Salaried Medical Officers Association, Adelaide.
Has the bank recently declined your business loan? Universal Finance is a South Australian finance company that makes secured and unsecured business loans easy by not requiring financials and offering lightning-fast settlement.
Since 1999, the team at Universal Finance have been helping Australian businesses achieve their financial goals. They have an extensive panel of private investors, cutting out the middleman and allowing clients to go direct to the source of funds, saving on fees and time.
So if you're looking for a business loan, especially if you found it tricky or you've been declined, search Universal Finance or visit their Kent Town office today. This is general advice only. Consider the terms and conditions before determining whether the advice is suitable for your situation.
The Hyundai Keys to Summer event ends soon. Unlock offers now. Visit Hyundai.com.au.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
7 minutes to 9. Graham Goodings not too far away. But before we hand over to mornings, I want to talk to a South Australian with a remarkable story. Aaron Crook won one of the world's most extreme marathons. He entered what's known as the Canada 6633 Arctic Ultra. It happened last month in February. It is 622 kilometres. You have to cart your own supplies the whole time. So it takes place over a period of days. You need all your food, your sleeping materials, and by the way, it gets down to minus 42. Aaron won this race, and he joins us now on 5AA Breakfast. Aaron, good morning to you.
Hi, how you going? Thanks for having me.
Aaron, yeah, mate, thanks for joining us. Now, how is it that someone who's grown up in a place like ours where it's basically been 30 for the last 3 months, it feels like, no rain, how do you acclimatise yourself to doing something so full on?
Yeah, I know. It was always going to be a challenge, but that was part of why it was so appealing to me. I had never been in sub-zero temperatures before, and I knew that it'd be a real shock to the system. But there was obviously no way of training for that leading in. But I thought, my best chance at sort of handling it would be just to invest in the warmest clothes and try and take as much advice from other people as possible. So it was a big leap of faith, but I was able to manage it.
So that distance, how you've got to carry your supplies. Are you walking it? Are you jogging it? Is it a combination of both? And how long did it take you?
Yeah, it is a bit of a combination of both. So you pull a sled behind you. So, the sled probably weighs somewhere between like 40 and 50 kilos with all of your gear and your water. In terms of the speed, I would say a fast hike is the majority, and then the downhills is kind of when you would run. And the only kind of variation for that for me was when I thought I had a chance at winning the race with about 36 kilometres to go. I put my foot down and I ran the entire time. So, my last 36 kilometres were probably twice as fast as any other time during the race.
How do you know you're winning? I mean, I imagine the competitors are so spread out over this massive distance.
Yeah. Well, the thing was the first and second place getters left the last aid station about 2 hours before me. I'd say about 45 kilometres before the end of the race, I was getting absolutely hammered by the conditions, and I could feel frostbite on my nose and on my cheek, and I just desperately wanted to get out of the conditions, so I really sped up. And then as we got closer to to where the race finishes, it's a hamlet called Tuck, and I started to get some reception on my phone, and all of a sudden I was getting family and friends. I was seeing things pop up on my watch, which was connected to my phone, saying, you're close, go, go, go. So I kind of kept that same pace, and then a 5K later, I saw the two guys that had been in front of me. They were actually sleeping because this final stage was still 84 kilometres, so they were just exhausted, and they decided that they needed to sleep. So when I saw that, I just put my foot down, and I wanted to try and put as much distance between me and them as possible, so when they woke up, they realised that they couldn't catch me.
Did you come across any fauna that gave you an incentive to run fast, Aaron? Any polar bears or giant mooses or anything?
Yeah, no, they were all asleep. So I didn't see a lot of wildlife in real life. But what I would say is that there was a lot of hallucinating going on. So I was creating many forms of other life, but none of it was real.
Wow, what kind of things did you see?
It was kind of amusing, actually. I had stardust coming from my hands, and there was Care Bears on the side of the road, and I saw friendly-looking dinosaurs crossing the trail.
Wow! Did they do drug testing for these Arctic runs?
Oh God! Yeah. Wow. Well, it was probably a similar experience, to be honest, because I knew that I was still safe and it wasn't a problem. But at the same time, it was probably the closest thing to watching television that I had out there by myself.
Hey, just before we let you go, Aaron, you've run this ultramarathon in the Arctic. You've run marathons in the Sahara Desert before. What's the hardest terrain in which to run distance, and is there something that's harder than what you've done that you're now sort of setting your sights on?
Yeah, so the Sahara Desert run, it's a famous run called Marathon des Sables, and that's marketed as the hardest race in the world. And I'm here to tell you that entire race is not as hard as a single stage on the 6633. So
right.
It doesn't even compare. for me, I think that I've now ticked off what is arguably the hardest ultramarathon in the world. So there's nothing really left in that world for me as far as I'm concerned. I've also promised my wife that I won't do anything more because she was petrified that I was going to come back with, less fingers and toes and possibly without a nose. So
just maybe do the City to Bay next year, mate. But take your sled with you; it'd be good.
yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, I have been pulling a tyre down on Somerton Beach, so people probably think that I am a bit of a weirdo. But
we'll keep an eye out for you. Good on you, Aaron. And congrats, mate. What a remarkable achievement, Aaron.
Sensational.
Won the hardest marathon on earth.
Did it for the Crows Foundation too.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, that's all from us. Graham Goodings is taking over. We'll be back tomorrow morning from 6.
Coming up next.